gentlemen, welcome back to the Netherkast. This is episode 113, and Mortal Madness is coming to get ya. Ooh, yeah, dig it. I'm your host, the Razor's Edge, and you're going nowhere. I got you for 2, maybe 3 hours. 3 hours of playtime. With me tonight, yeah, you know the cream always rises to the top, and they are the cream of the crop. Tonight, we got the Macho Shad. We got the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour. It's Django. And Smoke Man is ready. How we doing tonight, fellas? Let's snap into it, yeah!
Bonesaw is ready.
I've been looking forward to the Macho Man intro.
Oh, me too, man. I forgot tonight was the night. I'm glad I was here for it. What you need
was
to
good times.
do next time. What you need to do next time, Razor, is take control of the plane. And then the plane
Into a nosedive.
Miss me with your Macho Man shit. I was Ultimate Warrior guy until I found out that guy was like some sort of psychotic, like, right-wing conservative lunatic. Rest his soul.
I can't wait for the Scott Steiner.
Dibs.
Give me the
Fucking
match.
dibs.
Give me the match. Come on.
You got 2 timelines. Shao Kahn tries. Okay.
I don't watch wrestling, sorry.
Alright, yeah, how's everybody enjoying MK11?
I haven't played it in 2 fucking days, and I think I'm going to pull an all-nighter tonight.
When I play with other people, I like it.
Yeah, I invited Smoke Man to a game like 5 a.m. He didn't respond.
Well, if you waited an hour, I might have actually accepted.
No.
There was a window. Like a Tower of Time, almost.
It was...
A grind.
It's a window that you have to make, sir.
Listen, I'll catch you when the next fucking event comes around. It's...
Alright, so... I'm a fan of the gameplay. I am nothing short of contented as fuck that the run button is gone, that the dashes are what they are. You know, dash blocking remains to be seen just how much of an effect it'll have on the gameplay, but it just feels so much more fluid and natural and not clunky and stiff than 10 did on a gameplay level. I'm really happy.
I mean, I have been very pro running. I don't need it. Like, I liked MK9, and this feels a lot like 9, so I'm still very comfortable.
It's a weird fucking mishmash hybrid of 2 on some levels and 9. The execution of 9. Which is why I think I'm a big fan.
After X, I don't want running anymore. Fuck that shit.
You need to learn the joys of Rushdown, sir. You need to just learn to YOLO.
Great dead.
You know, my problem with like the running in 9 wasn't so much on like gameplay level, so much as like even Rushdown, so much as it just made for shitty, stupid looking combos. You just like run the guy across the arena like a Mack truck, pop him up into the air like he's Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny, bouncing off the ground, and then more dumb shit occurred. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing.
I mean, I find, as a Liu Kang player, I can now just bike kick, meter burn it twice, and now you're in the corner. I don't need to run.
Which I say, fuck you, sir.
You don't even need to do multiple moves. You just do the one move and you keep hitting that fucking amplify button.
Yeah.
And you're there.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
I like it.
I can keep chopping you up, kid.
Can you? We were trying to figure that out before. I never got to the bottom of it. Did you figure that out?
Yeah, I figured it out. You can.
Okay. You have to send me the tech later.
I've actually spent...
You press the button, Django, twice.
No. All right, I'll give that a shot. I don't know, but...
I think I've gotten the most enjoyment, and this is me and what a weirdo I am, just out of roaming the crypt and looking at things.
That's what I was wanting. That's what I was hoping to hear about. I wanted to hear about you guys' experience with story in the crypt, especially.
Oh, you're going to get a lot about story tonight, I think.
Yeah, the story...
Me and
I mean,
Razor
the
had a
story
feeling.
we have so many thoughts on that Shad and I are going to have to do a Lost Wearied commentary. That's...
Yeah.
I mean, we were supposed to have already recorded one earlier this week, and it just never happened.
Shit fucking all up. We couldn't get audio and video to sync properly. Either one of us could hear sound or neither of us could.
Yeah,
Once we
it'd
get
be
those,
like...
those kinks worked out.
It'd be like midnight before we figured out a technical problem, and then we're like, I don't want to be up another 3-4 hours. Let's just go to bed and try again tomorrow.
And at that point, I hadn't even fucking seen Story yet, and Razor had, and all of you had. And I'm like, I am literally the last person in this fucking Discord who watched the entire story. No, fuck that. If everyone's enjoyed it, if everyone's fucking enjoyed it, I'm just gonna go out, get my game tomorrow morning, come back, and enjoy it at my leisure through the day. I didn't actually wind up playing the fucking story mode till like 6 p.m. And for what's worth, I'm glad I experienced it alone and not like with commentary, because I would have just been quiet and silent the entire time we were recording, except for the occasional "oh shit" moment.
Yeah, I think that what we ended up realizing was that people place a lot of emphasis on, like, wanting to see the first-time reaction, and that's because a lot of people on YouTube exaggerate and fake their first-time reactions to be way more intense than how they actually would be. Like, a normal person watching something for the first time is mostly silent so they can take it in.
There's a difference between reacting at 4 separate characters being introduced one by one, which was the case with the MKX DLC packs, and a 3 or 4 hour story mode where you're sitting there and you're listening to dialogue and you're breaking for fights. It's harder to give decent reactions or keep listeners engaged when you're doing that, you know? You don't want to hear us go, huh, or ooh, or God almighty, what were they thinking?
I will
Occasionally
say
3 hours. That would be fun for anyone.
that, like, me and Tip, Cyborg, I thought there was one other person there. There might have been. I can't remember because it was very late and I was sleepy. We, like, watched the whole thing, and I believe we recorded a commentary, and I think that's going to be pretty entertaining if it ever makes it up onto YouTube. We had fun with that thing.
I think that I would enjoy seeing that. I think that for me and Shad, because we're usually the thoughtful, analytical guys, recording it after we've seen it means we have more to say. We can sit there, we can, like, go, okay, this is what I liked about this is what I did not like, this is, oh shit, wait for this part coming up, the money shot.
I definitely got different feelings after, like, having sat with it and stewed and, like, okay. But in the moment, we had a good time. I just got to hit up Cyborg and get that stuff up.
And yes, the noob retrospective for Bihan is still not up, largely because of MK11 for the first couple of days it was out, and then I had a bunch of shit to do. And my girlfriend and I celebrated our 6-year anniversary yesterday, and I took her out to see Alice.
Anniversary!
Yeah, congratulations.
Took her out to see Alice in Chains last night. We got some pizza at like 1:30 in the morning, and today we just had some fun doing some wine. So I've had a pretty fucking packed week of it. So I'm back on the noob. I've been working on a new episode, the last of it today.
I saw that thumbnail. That thumbnail was sick. I'm just going to say.
Razor did such a good job at it. But yeah, MK11, that's what the people want. The people's combat.
So, where do we actually want to start?
Okay, well, before we get into story mode, which I think is going to probably occupy us for like a good fucking hour and a half, probably, as we go through it tick by tick. Continuing on our gameplay aspect, I feel compelled to say that this is one of the best tutorials I've ever seen in a fighter, bar none, if not the best.
Except for the ones that were bugged.
I haven't experienced any problems.
There's
been like one, maybe, where like the demo mode couldn't get the combo to work, but I figured it out myself. There's hiccups.
There's one with Collector where it says to cancel out of the like ball and chain move that he's got.
Okay.
And the input up there says dash, like to dash forward or backwards. Apparently they patched that out of the game in like a day one patch. So that you can do that when the proper input is down. That'll get you past the tutorial. But
wait, which one was that?
The display says it's wrong. His like the cancel out of his like move where he like shoots the little ball and chain at you.
Oh, the collector's like specific character tutorial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Interesting. That's really
the odd problem aside, just talking about the main tutorial and the intermediate to advanced techniques. Like, I've been playing fighting games ever since, like, fucking Alpha 2. Well, I mean, no, since the SNES days. I grew up seeing the Alpha games come out, and along with MK3 forward, and I've never played games competitively. You know, I've taken in some knowledge, some terminology, but this did such a good job of making it all comprehensive and understandable for anyone from a beginner to an intermediate player. And I felt really grateful having watched this, you know? I think it's actually probably going to help my gameplay a little bit. Not that I care much about it, but it's natural.
Absolutely.
I appreciated what it was trying to teach me, but I'm going to actually get good at flawless block.
Well, what it teaches you and what you can pull off are two sets. And flawless block is Jesus fuck no. I appreciate it. Like, I appreciate a third strike's parries, but only at certain times, you know? When I see a fireball coming from halfway across the screen,
I think
I'm not that good.
The window is just a little too tight for me on that.
Well, for a thing like flawless blocking and enabling instant counterattacks...
Yeah, I mean, it has to be tight. It has to be, like... I don't know if it's 3 frames or 1 frame or however small it is, but... It took me a long time to finish those tutorials.
I did it in...
It wasn't a cakewalk.
I did it. I mean, I wanted that Shao Kahn announcer real fucking bad.
Yeah.
And it was worth it. I like how he sounds.
It's good.
Still haven't gotten the Chronica announcer because I don't have enough space on my shitty phone to download the MK11.
There's actually, you know what? There is a program called BlueStacks, which is basically a phone emulator for the PC. And I used that to get the mobile game.
Oh, hello.
Sick.
Oh, yeah. The tech.
Good shit.
BlueStacks is good. No, the tutorial probably doesn't get enough attention drawn to it as it should. Almost every fighting game should have that. And some of them try, and some of them do the best they can with the budgets they have, and that's understandable.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that
Killer Instinct had a really good tutorial, didn't it?
It did, absolutely. Killer Instinct's dojo was super good. This one was obviously, more in depth and had more time and production value put into it. I really liked the lessons that talked about, active frames and startup and recovery, and it changed your color for all that so you can actually see what's going on and why moves are good visually.
Yeah, the section on frame data was, I mean, I'm never going to be able to count frame data just, like, by the naked eye, but...
Well, sure, but
it is, for new players, that is
it.
really useful information to learn, because I think a lot of people don't have any idea what frames are when they're first starting out in fighting games. This is the kind of stuff you end up, Googling or asking on a message board.
If you go through that, you're gonna fucking damn well understand what frames are. They lay it out so an idiot can understand.
They do. And, I mean, there's something in there for every kind of player to learn. I learned shit going through there. It's just a really good and a really comprehensive tool and help out, especially for this genre that's so hard to get into if you're not already into it, man. It's so hard. I'm really glad they made that as priority as they did in this game.
As an aside, if anyone's downloading anything or torrenting anything among our various hosts here, stop. I'm hearing dropouts every now and then, so careful. Anyway.
Well, I'm not catching any dropouts, so the recording audio is fine.
Either have I.
I hear it every so often. But anyway, so that's tutorial mode. What next? I feel like story's got to be one of the last things. We'll maybe save arcade. I know not everyone's seen every arcade ending.
Do we want to talk about the leaked DLC characters and their intros?
If we have to.
All of their intros?
Well,
but
they
for
don't.
now,
Generalization.
I think we should talk about the game as it is, that we've that we've had experience.
Yeah, let's start with the game and then extra game.
Well, I think we're gonna have to talk at some point about Towers of Time and the difficulty and the patch that is much needed, and they said would take hours rather than days, and now it's going to be like on Monday that we get it or something.
I think people are misrepresenting that tweet. I think Boone meant like...
he was being hopeful, obviously, because like the patch has to go through PlayStation and Xbox certification before it'll go up.
That always takes a couple of days.
Yeah, I think that was misspoken. That was never going up like in hours. And even they said on the stream, like at earliest it would be like at the end of the week and probably the beginning of next week, which is what we're looking at now.
Basically, the problem is the difficulty is turned up too high on the towers, and some of them are even to the point where it's like, you remember in MKX when you'd play like the Easter one or the New Year's one, and it would just be like
a bunch of shit.
Fireworks and explosives over the entire fucking arena, and it's like, good fucking luck, buddy.
They said that they made some server-side fixes, and I gave 1 or 2 towers a shot after that, and
I haven't really noticed a difference. What I heard is that they adjusted how much health the enemies have. It still feels like they're taking too long to die, like...
They also adjusted like some of the assists that the enemies have. Like for instance, if you go to one of the character towers, there's like a tower with Frost where she's a damage sponge, and she has Sector and Cyrax off screen helping her, shooting missiles and nets at you, all while she has input reading AI. And the Cyrax nets were blockable, but the Sector missiles were not. So you were, like, eternally fucked if you tried to play.
The main thing that I've noticed that really pisses me off is that the AI's modifiers and assists, the cooldown is non-existent. They can just spam them.
There's no cooldown as well.
And if you equip the same modifier on your guy, there's a ton of cooldown.
Yep.
And that's just not fair.
They said shit was unblockable before, which that would have been crazy. I didn't know any of that before.
Yeah, like you got
they
fucking
patched that out.
Multiple missiles raining from the sky. It's just carpet bombing. You fucking.
I went into that shit 2 towers, and I'm like, nope. I got a lot of arcade endings to see, and I'm gonna just wait for them to fix it. So fucking thank you.
There are towers that are like. They don't have those modifiers. I won't call them easier. I've been letting the AI deal with them, and it manages to win.
I haven't, since the server-side patch, I haven't had any trouble with anything except for stuff with like a bunch of modifiers on there that, and time, like whenever time is an issue, that was what was bugging me. I talked about it earlier in the chat. Like I spent an hour yesterday working on a one of those 1 hour events or whatever for a sub skin, and I had like 1 fight left, and I got kicked out of there because time ran out, which is really fucking annoying.
You shouldn't be getting booted out of towers at the moment. They should at least like in MKX. I think they gave you that grace period, right?
Yeah, if you were in a tower, it would wait until you finished it.
Yeah. Why is this not a thing?
Well, it doesn't kick you out of the tower itself while you're playing. It's just when you're done with the tower. And you still have more towers to do, they boot you.
Yeah, that's the thing. They won't boot you out of a tower, but there's multiple towers in an event. So it won't kick you out of a tower if you're in it. But if you finish a tower and you still have 1 tower left, and like I did, and even though it was a 1-character tower, the boss, you still can't go to that tower. It just boots you out of the event.
And it's like if you look at the timer on it, and it has like 40 minutes left, you're fucked. You don't even bother trying because you're not going to finish it. Because it's designed to make it so that you take as long as possible. Like, before this recording, I did a fucking tower where they shot missiles at you that would make you slower, increasingly slower. And that was the most unfun shit I've ever had. I actually had to use the skip a fight thing just to make the time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You guys are way more patient than I am.
I have managed to grind out a couple of ideal Liu Kang skins, because that is my main so far.
Which one did you get?
I managed to get the one that he wears in story mode, the class. I don't have him shirtless yet.
I have the shirtless with a Game of Death, like, color scheme.
Yeah, I have that with, like, the yellow with black stripes, and he's got, like, tattoos on his arms.
You guys have a Fujin skin?
Listen to the funny man.
The god Liu Kang, whatever.
I do not yet have any of the shaders that would
motherfucker
be
looks
God
like
Liu.
Fujin at the end of the game. Like, that's what I call that skin.
Kind of.
He has like
Fujin wears a
weird
shirt,
wind tattooed things on his arms and on his pants too.
I didn't know that Fujin had wind tattoos on his skin.
No, but if anyone should have wind tattoos on their skin, it should be Fujin.
Well, we're gonna find out what Fujin has on his skin eventually. In the meantime,
city economy. Ray Rachel is asked to talk about.
Yeah.
Give me the loot. Give me the loot, because I'm broke.
Yeah, so here's the problem. The Crypt, we were told there were not going to be loot boxes, but all the chests in the Crypt that you open with coins are randomized.
No, that's not exactly what it is. According to the guys on the Combat Cast, every chest is the same, but for everyone it's in a different spot.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense when you factor in the fact that you can refill chests.
You can't refill them. You just reset all the chests. Each chest is put together like specifically
so if
by
you
them.
use Chronica's thing, it'll just move them.
Yes,
I guess.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it will like reset the whole thing, doesn't it? Like it fills up all the chests again, back how they were with how they set them up in the beginning.
No, but wouldn't that mean there's now double?
Randomizes their locations.
That means you can unlock doubles of things you already have.
Which is bullshit.
Is that right? That part I don't know about.
I think the refill thing is for like dumb shit like consumables and all that garbage. What I want to know is if the prices are random, because like sometimes I'll open a chest that's like 2,000, and I'll get like a brutality and a fatality, but I'll open one that's like 15,000. I'll get a fucking consumable and an icon.
Well, what I have noticed is that the price seems to correlate to the number of things you get, not what those things are.
I have never. I've never acquired a skeleton key from anything less than a 10k chest. I think there is.
I don't know if this is true for everybody, but I've noticed that Goro's dining room has a lot of skeleton keys. At least it did for me. Which is convenient because there's a door that needs a skeleton key in that room that leads to a lot more dungeon.
That would make sense.
I'll need to go back there because, like many people, I had no idea that skeleton key locks led to whole different parts of the crypt. I thought that they were just locking away little bits of treasure here and there. So for the last little while, I've been kind of going into arcade.
I think there are only 2 doors, maybe 3, that lead to more dungeon, and one of those is just another elevator back up.
Is one of
Dark Souls shortcuts, dude. It's hype.
Does one of the skeleton keys give you the collector room? Because I still have yet to do that.
No, the collector room you can just walk into. But the elevator that I'm talking about is next to the collector room.
It is, yeah.
I look at my map and I go towards the collector icon, and it's guarded by a gate.
Did you find the chain beside it that you pull and it opens it up?
Yeah, there's just a chain on the wall for that one.
Chain tech.
Fuck. Why do they bother doing that?
They do need to like highlight those chains a little better. They have like this little fluttery like cinder flame things that come up of them, but it's not very visible.
I don't see the point in doing that if it's just going to add more time. So, like, just don't have it gated.
I mean, at this point, I have opened every door that leads to more Crypt real estate. The only place I haven't been is Shang's throne room, and you have to get 10 heads on spikes for that.
Oh.
Gross.
I haven't been
there. Haven't had one yet. Good time.
And those heads on spikes you get for fatality.
I think it's brutality.
You have to fatal or brutal a specific character 50 times, and then you get their severed head. And I would advise everybody to do Cetrion first, because you need hers to get one of the 3 amulets for one of the puzzles.
Ooh.
Do you already have the Chronicle one? Or...
I finished that. The Chronicle one you get for just donating money to the collector shrine thing.
The shrine thing, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I already did that.
And then you have to forge Shinnocks. And you do that with 3 items. They all have the word ensorcelled in their names, I think, or something like that.
Whoa.
I've gotten one of those.
Yeah. One of them is in... It's on a tree in the Deadwoods that costs 10,000 souls.
Alright, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
Yeah, so that's my complaint, is... It's not the random chests, it's how hard it is to get souls and hearts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It is good to point out.
Fuck getting hearts.
The economy is lopsided.
You can get...
If it wasn't if the fact that you needed that you can refresh chests isn't kind of confusing and mind-boggling already, the sheer size of the crypt and all the chests that are available in it, coupled with the fact that things are so hard to come by, means I don't feel like I'll be finishing the crypt for like a year of real time.
I think that's what they want. They want you to spend a lot of time in the crypt and really like get your money's worth out of it, like not just finish it in a week and be done. But for people who are looking for specific gear for their main, that's really unfair.
That's where it's
like I would love to spend a long time in there unlocking shit for characters I'm not going to play, but I just want my Liu Kang skin, please. Thank you.
The Shao Kahn chests aren't random, so you can like go to the Shao Kahn chest, the one with the hearts. Those are the same for everybody, and you can
those at least, yes. But getting hearts is such a bitch.
It is.
I think. See, I bitch about this kind of shit with Injustice 2 because it just unlocked shitty-looking costume pieces that I didn't even want.
Yeah.
With this, it's locking brutalities out of my fucking grasp, and I fucking hate
Scorpion
that.
chests? Which one are the Scorpion chests? Are they the same for everyone too?
Yeah.
Are they the ones you have to like extinguish?
Yeah, yes. You have to like find a hanging lantern in spirit, and then the fire goes out so you can open it.
See, I didn't know that. I'm learning stuff too. This is great.
I think those are also not random. I'm not sure on that, though.
That's what PoodleCon says in the chat.
They cost hearts, so...
Well, no, the Shao Kahn ones cost hearts. The Scorpion ones, I think, usually cost money after you put the fire out.
No, they cost hearts.
Do they?
Controversy. 100 hearts, PoodleCon says.
They're cheaper than the Shao Kahn ones, but yeah.
Fair enough.
The operators are saying 100 hearts.
What do you guys feel like it's a fair amount of hearts to give after every brutality and fatality?
I think they should give you 5 per brutality.
5 would be nice, I think.
5 would be nice.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Maybe even 10. I don't even fucking know.
10 would have got a lot of shit done relatively quickly. I wouldn't say no to that, but 5 feels like a nice mix between working for what you're doing and not quite grinding your ass off.
Honestly, I would do 10 for a brutal and 5 for fatals.
I think my issue with brutals is because you don't have them unless you find them in the crypt. So unless you start
with some defaults, not the most.
Yeah, like you start with that uppercut one on every character, but you have to not block to do it.
You have one shitty uppercut brutal and then one actually good one.
Can you not do them even before you have them technically unlocked? I thought
you have to get them.
Fatalities you can do even if you don't have them unlocked. Brutalities, you need to unlock them.
Oh.
Unless you're the AI.
Yeah.
In which case...
The AI can do whatever it
wants.
Yeah, the AI can do whatever the fuck it wants.
But, ignoring the grind, Frumblefoot asks, are we happy with the design of the crypt?
That's a good question.
And I say, holy good lord God, yes.
I think it looks spectacular.
It's fucking cool as shit.
I kind of wish it was the old days where I had a Game Shark and I could just cheat my arse off to just have all the currency so I could just spend hours prancing around down there. I feel like I'm on like Shang's Island from the movie.
It feels like a ride.
They actually modeled in the fucking dining room.
Yeah.
They did. So... Here's my favorite thing. This is a really obscure reference. If you're running around in Goro's lair, there's a room down there that's the dark prison from Deception.
Jesus.
Really?
When you go in the room, Shang calls it the dark prison. It doesn't have the smashing death trap, but otherwise it looks exactly the same, except for, like, Striker's not in one of the cells or anything like that.
Oh,
damn! It's that fucking stage.
Yeah.
Shit.
Now, I wish it also had like the clanking industrial soundtrack while you were down there, but you can always go back and play the Deception track.
Yeah.
I was disappointed there wasn't more Shane commentary throughout. It seems a little lacking.
I think we're gonna get.
He says here
plenty of Shang once
the
DLC drops.
You think they're gonna buff the Shane commentary?
I do. You know what I wish. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that when you finally do get into Shang's throne room, it's just another room full of chests, and you get to enjoy the scenery. I wish he was sitting in there and you could talk to him.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
But speaking,
I want that. Once that character becomes available, that would be wonderful. That's legitimate. Yes.
I just wish I could sit there and listen to Shang Tsung talk forever.
Yeah, right.
So, what do you think of like
Okay, that's sick.
Well, but
getting your ass
speaking
murdered
of
by ghosts? I've never seen
like
a ghost.
I like it.
I've never seen a ghost. I've been murdered once. And I didn't see the ghost when it happened. I just put on the blindfold and there was a horrible scream and I was dead. It took me a second or two to process what the fuck was happening.
Yeah. So, by the way, if you are able to predict it and swing the hammer, you can hit the ghost. And if you do...
I hear you get 100 hearts or something like that.
You get... It's either 100 hearts or 100 souls and a Sub-Zero skin the first time you do it.
You get a sub skin? I gotta go grind that shit right now.
At least that's what I read.
When you put on the blindfold. Swing, Jerry.
I saw it once. It didn't hit me, or it didn't spook
you
me.
Also,
I was like, oh, that was weird.
Once you find the statue of of Reptile from the movie, Reptile is around random places on the island after that. You can only see him with the blindfold on. And if you see him and you hit him with the hammer, you get a scorpion skin.
Holy shit, really?
Oh, that's cool.
Live knowledge being by his ass.
Listen to this. I'm glad I'm here. I'm learning shit.
I also
100 hearts, man. Poodle knows everything, and he says.
Okay, but like, what does Reptile look like? Is it like MKX Reptile?
It's MKX Reptile.
It's
Okay.
Yeah. I really like that you can die in the crypt because it doesn't like restart you anywhere and it doesn't take away any currency.
Yeah, it's literally just a for fun animation, which like if you lost coins for that shit, I would be super pissed.
I was biting my nails when that ghost fucking killed me. I'm like, no, don't take away my money. Take away my money. I worked so hard for it. But just dying without consequence, fine. That's just gaming these days. So I haven't seen the spiders yet. There's a spider entrance, but like I said,
there's a section in Goro's lair there's a section of Goro's lair that's a chitin hive, and it's full of spiders that come up and breathe fire on you.
I haven't gotten there yet.
I know Temp is happy somewhere.
That's what you get. That's where you get to when you open that door with the skeleton key in the dining room.
Oh my god, I could just spend days. I want to spend days. Guys, it's NRS. I love you so much. I love that you want me to spend a year down there. Even though I know it's for player retention purposes, like every game pads itself out to do these days. And I want to give you that time, but I'm a grown ass man. I want to be retained. I don't have to give.
Retain me!
Oh my god.
Yes.
But it's a place of, it's a thing of beauty. It's... Economy aside, it's the best I feel like Crypt has ever been. And it feels very, very personal to me and very connected to my history with the franchise, and I can't love it enough.
Future Crypts should never not be actual places from the MK universe. This is what it should have always fucking been. I have been asking for so long for that, like, Deception Shaolin Monks experience, but, like, in modern graphics and, like, places... Like, when you were at Shang's Island, in the first level of Shaolin Monks, Goro's lair was part of it, and the pit was part of it, and that was about it. This is, like, every stage from MK1 you can find, and also a Deception stage.
Oh yeah, guys, by the way, thank you for joining us live tonight, despite the fact that Game of Thrones is on tonight. That actually means a lot to us.
I know, I was conflicted.
Anyway...
I don't watch Game of Thrones, sorry.
Good for you.
I watched every season so far, but I will wait for the Blu-rays to drop. Anywho, So, anyone else have anything to say about the Crypt? Because I want to talk about the music. Holy shit.
I'm just... Okay, so... This is both a Crypt and story mode comment, but, like, the warrior shrine is clearly modeled in stage form. I need it as fucking DLC. When is this gonna happen?
Oh,
Yeah,
seriously, like,
please.
God
Put
damn
it
it.
inside of me, Senpai.
Please, it's in this game twice and not in the game at the same time.
I feel like it's gonna be like we've been drooling over the possibility ever since we saw it on the fucking menu.
All of those environments that were in those, like, Raiden versus Liu Kang flashes, like, the Deadpool looked fucking amazing. That is the best Deadpool design I've ever seen.
The top of Argus's pyramid. Fuck me, Jesus. With a poleaxe.
One of them was fucking Shang's palace from Deadly Alliance with the Solnado in the back.
Just put it all in.
I gotta go watch that again. It went by really fast.
Yeah.
I was like, Subway? Pyramid? Deadpool? I couldn't even... I could not fucking process all of that.
I didn't even notice the Deadpool was there.
Yeah. It's one of them.
Dude, it's like, everything's glowing green. It's like darkly lit. It's amazing.
It's the one that's the Deadpool.
Yeah.
Shit, I need to look back at that.
Anyway.
Yeah, so we can talk about the music, because I am very happy. Like, I actually hear it in this game, and it's, like, catchy and enjoyable.
Post-coital orgasms. All right, before I start again.
I love Goro's lair in this game.
It didn't occur to me until the first time I'm playing in there, and I'm like, wait, this is the music for Goro's lair. Like, I expected them to not bring it back.
The courtyard theme is a very heavily rearranged take on the original courtyard theme. It is.
Is it?
Yeah. Almost so heavily that it's unrecognizable.
Yes, but, like, the rhythms are there, but they're just really spaced out and modified, and it's barely recognizable, but it is there if you listen to it. If you listen for it. Just like, maybe, I don't know, put it on, fast forward it a little bit.
Yeah, I think I need to hear that track.
It's a special remix.
I'd need to hear like an actual rip of that track outside of fighting sound effects to pick it out.
I gotta do that. That's one thing I haven't done yet. That's on my list.
You know the
music,
the classic courtyard bass line, do 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 do. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yes, of course I do.
that has essentially become like the woodwind, or like not the woodwind, the stringed instrument you hear. Dun, dun. It's just really slowed down and stretched out. Yeah, like, well, not that, but you get my point. It's an extensive rearrangement, and I love it to pieces. This entire soundtrack kicks my ass, and I want a 2LP version of it so badly. I need to put it onto my record player and like call all my friends over and act like about how much I love this fucking record. Oh Christ! The Black Dragon club area, and Jesus, the Black Market area with that synth, and the entire Kites in Hive. It sounds like a screwed up Nine Inch Nails track. It's beautiful.
I think my favorite is the Shirai Ryu Fire Garden, because like they really nailed that like Asian sound, and like it's kind of abnormal for MK because it's like a very beautiful stage. It's not like dark and gothy and fucking
it is very pretty
inspired.
The contrast is really wonderful.
I really like that, yeah.
And it's just pretty.
I think, like, not only the music, but I think the stage period is my favorite with the Wuxi Dragon Grotto. That's my favorite.
I kind of feel like this soundtrack incorporates the Eastern-themed instrumentation of MK1, the memorability, the arrangements of the tracks in MK2, and the rhythmic, danceable, poppy quality of the MK3 soundtrack. It's like it's a best of all three worlds kind of a deal. If I have to compare them,
I think it's because there's such a great diversity of stages, and they actually came up with music that fits each stage and stands out as belonging there, and not just Hans Zimmer bullshit for every fucking part of the game.
MKX's soundtrack was a disappointment because, like, seriously, right now I can only remember the Botan Jungle guitar theme. That's it. It otherwise all sounded the same.
The only thing I remember about the music in X is there are vocals in the
Botan
crossroads that remind me of Deception.
I remember
the Quotan Jungle. That's what I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the fatality bit for that stage. And that's about it.
Seriously, think about MKX's soundtrack. All I can tell you is down, down, and like the didgeridoo from Australia that was going on in the background as well. That's it. Other than that, the MKX soundtrack was garbage, except for maybe the main theme.
I did like the Jinsei Chambers music.
I forget what
it was. Just it was really guitar-y. I think this game definitely has better music than the past several. I do wish that they weren't as afraid of percussion as they still are in their stage themes, but it's a big step up.
Thing is, I found so much of the MKX soundtrack was synth and mandatory little whiny guitar bit.
You're right.
And it all just sort of blended in together. And I'm like really relieved that going into MK11, I'm hearing so much less electric guitar, but only when it counts, you know? When there's electric guitar, it's noticeable and it works. It shouldn't be slathered all over a score. I love Mick Gordon, and what he does for Kill Instinct really works, but I would not want that to be like the standard for MK.
No, that's KI.
Yes.
I think what's interesting, I don't think that Dan Forden actually did music for this game.
I don't know if Dan has really. I don't think Dan did anything for X either. Like, he's mostly a supervisor now, I'm sure.
No, he definitely worked on. He did X. Him, and the sound guy. I forgot.
Rich Carl.
That's the guy. They both split up the stage themes, and that's all they did was the stage themes in that game.
Well,
I think in this game he just scooted back to the overseer of audio director, and did that stuff, which I think would explain what Shad's talking about. You don't hear that kind of whiny guitar that I also recognize was not present. It's in Mortal Kombat 9 a lot too. That wasn't here in this game.
It's not that I have an issue with the guitar. It's that I have an issue with it being used obnoxiously and constantly, and used as like a crutch. And it makes me sad to think that that if Dan Forden was kind of responsible for how the X soundtrack turned out, maybe it is time for him to take a back seat. I love him, but
apparently Mick Gordon almost did the music for an MK game, but Dan Forden said that he didn't like his music. So,
well, we dodged a bullet there. Thank you, Dan. Again, love Mick, but I love Mick for Doom and KI.
I would like to think that Mick.
I just like him for KI personally.
I think that he is a good enough composer to not bring Doom and KI into.
Here's what I think. I think that because different stages should have different identities, maybe you actually want different composers for different stages.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Like a stage set in Hell should have heavy metal. That you get Mick for that. Why not?
Yeah, but I mean, you listen to Killer Instinct's Jago's theme, and it's not heavy metal. It's not guitars everywhere.
He's very diverse with his KI soundtrack. Listen to Jago's or Saberwolf's. It's very different.
I really like Thunder has that. It's just the beating drums and the Thunder chanting.
And got acoustic guitar in Thunders too.
Spinals is fucking wonderful with the Norwegian, the Icelandic chorus, and they actually use bone woodwind instruments. And again, I'm not saying Mick's a one-note guy, far from it, but he's known for the 7-string Fear Factor.
Well, I mean, the dude is a guitarist, and he likes to go to that. But I really like him. He bringing in so much vocal use in his Killer Instinct stuff. I wish that Mortal Kombat did that more often. Interesting vocal use, Spinal, what you're talking about there, and Jago's theme too. I think that shit's really, really sick. Having Wuxi Academy type stage with some a monk chorus of chants and shit like that going on would be really, really tight.
Yeah,
but this game
I would not mind multiple composers for different stages. Street Fighter Alpha 3 actually did that, and there's a wide variety of different types of styles.
We have they employ however many programmers and however many concept artists, and there's more than one writer. Why not more than one audio guy?
It's true. And I mean, they already bring in lots of other composers for story mode and other game modes that...
Yeah, story mode has had a specific composer. He's worked on some stuff before. I think he works at some Ass Creed games for Ubisoft.
Ass Creed.
I like how you casually just call it that. You don't call it that to demean it. You just casually do
I mean,
it.
that is the accepted shortening.
I work at Ubisoft. That's what we use around the studio.
That's even more hilarious.
It's the opposite of the Microsoft guys going, we didn't realize anyone would call it the X-Bone.
Brought to you by the people whose initials are synonymous with multiple sclerosis. Anyway. So that's sound we've covered. We've covered the Krypt a little bit.
The Crypt, the tower gate.
What is your guys' favorite stage in the whole game?
It's based purely on graphics and presentation. It's the Lin Kuei Cyber Initiative stage. It's prototype.
The Cyber Initiative stage is something that I've been wanting to see for a very long time.
I've wanted that shit
now
since
that
1995.
I've seen the current interpretation of it, I have questions about how the cyborgs act, like how much human is in there, because so what we see being put in them is just the head and spine. And then, like, in the cutscenes in story mode, there's, like, saws chopping people's heads in half and, like, just discarding the heads. And it's like, what are you even
to keep
using
in
that
mind,
for?
this is like Chronica bringing back Sector and Frost and that version of the Lin Kuei. It's not the exact one that made,
Yeah, but no, but, like
Cyrax and Sector.
Scorpion and Sub-Zero walk into that room, and the floor is littered with bodies with the heads still on them. They didn't cyberize
It's the beginning of
those
Infinity
guys.
War with
They
blood. They're just stepping
killed
over
them.
bodies.
Well, according to Frost's fatality, it's literally just the brain and the stem.
Yeah.
No flesh, only Kalash.
What?
But, like...
Flesh, only
He's right.
Kalash.
But when you put a giant buzzsaw right down the center of someone's skull, none of that brain is salvageable.
Like,
You're right. I agree.
Why did they... You're not using the material, you're just killing a guy.
What they wanted was to just get across the point that it's a very, very unpleasant process.
I get it, but...
I mean, aside from that, all we've had to go on is, like, the first season of MK Legacy, the Hydro episode.
Yeah, I really liked that bit where, like, Cyrax is on the table and he wakes up and starts screaming because the lower half of his body isn't there.
Like, that's how I always pictured it going down. And this is close enough for that.
We can also, like, study, like, the skeleton sprites for the cyborgs and see, like, exactly what's missing and shit.
Well, you can only do that reliably in MK3. The X-rays in 9 and X are just bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. they're just fucking, like, meat shells is what they're essentially are.
If you do an X-ray on a cyborg in 9, what you see is, like, Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, and then there's some glowing circuit lines on the organs.
Don't forget the musculature.
Yeah, it's all of the muscles are like because the blood is oil. It's all black now. And speaking of that, I do have a complaint about this game that Sector Cyrax and Devora got the right blood color, but Noob Saibot bleeds red. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's weird.
Just yell at them on
Frost
Twitter.
bleeds red too, which seems odd to me. But she is oddly human for a cyber ninja.
Well, she
raise your voice, bring it up on Twitter. They fucked up. They can fix it.
But it's not even her real fucking face. Because she blows her head up all the time.
Yeah.
She's got a bunch of faces.
It's fucking weird. I don't really want to talk about Cyberfrost.
I didn't think about that just now.
Let's get there once we get into the story.
It's not even her face. Okay. All right.
Is it that time? Is it time?
I guess we should move into story. I don't know if you guys want to talk about costumes and moves first or something, but...
Yeah, let's just go to story.
Yeah, let's talk about story.
All right.
It's the main event.
Keep in mind, I'm probably the only one here who hasn't seen the full story mode.
Oh my god.
What are you doing with your life, sir?
Playing the video game.
Are you
story
sure
mode is part of the video game.
I understand. That's a good answer.
Are you sure you want to hear all that we're about to say?
I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
I watched the story mode. I did not play it.
Okay.
You know you get skins if you play story mode, right?
I played through the ones that gave me the skins I wanted.
Are they good?
Razor, let's not oppress them with our plot moving.
All right.
They were actually. They weren't bad.
I'm not going to be a snob about it. You play at your own pace.
I played through chapter 4. It's all good.
You do what you got to do. Some people are here for the fighting. Some people are here for competitiveness. Some people are here to dissect the way that cyborgs look and blood color is, and what their organs are like. And, we all love Mortal Kombat for different reasons.
All right.
Story fucking mode.
So before we start getting into the detail, broad impressions.
I'm really fucking happy. Really, really fucking happy. It doesn't take much as an MK fan and as an MK story fan to make me happy with what you're doing in story mode. I have one rule, and MK9 enforced this rule.
Don't kill anyone.
No. This is... I mean,
Not
sure,
this game does not kill anyone, so that rule
it's not
broken.
Batman.
I was, of course, like everyone else, shocked when Sindel murdered half the cast in 9, but after I calmed down and, took some Xanax, I realized, this is MK. People are gonna die.
Yep.
If I don't want that, I'm in the wrong place. Now, my one rule is don't shit all over your own history. And that's what MK9 did, and that's why I hate that story mode still.
That's a good point. That should be a rule for everybody. Don't shit on yourself.
This game, however...
Just don't shit on yourself. That's good.
This game it felt like...
If you have to go to the bathroom, use the toilet like an adult.
Yeah.
Do it.
It was an answer to a lot of complaints. It answered a lot of questions. It wrapped things up in more or less a neat little package. There was a little bit of bullshit to explain some of the questionable decisions of plots past, but I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. The dialogue was, for the most part, really good. Sure, some characters maybe kind of disappeared, and we could have used an epilogue scene with them. But on the whole, so much got wrapped up that needed to be wrapped up, and there was just so much payoff for those of us who maybe wanted to see an end to Kitana and Shao Kahn's plot angle for so many years, and those of us who finally wanted to see Shao Kahn and Kotal Khan go at it. There was just so much emotional payoff for almost everyone involved with the plot that I can't be angry at any of this. There's nothing to be angry in my opinion. I was just so happy. It felt like the end of an era, the proper end of an era, pluses and minuses and all of that. And wherever we go from here, it's going to be a couple of years, but I look forward to seeing what they're going to do. And from this point on, I don't hold them to any rules because I know that any expectations I have for them to adhere to things of the past, much as I went to MK9 expecting, can go out the window. At this point, I know that things are going to change, that there's going to improvements that they're going to want to make, and I'm fine. For me, this felt like closure on so many levels.
There was definitely a feeling that you can leave this game feeling like, okay, that was the end. I don't need to play any more MK ever for the rest of my life. If I want to, sure. But I could call this the finish to the story.
Yeah.
As far as my general impressions, I mean, to talk about how I feel about 11, obviously you got to talk about 9 and X.
Oh boy!
And I always said about X that the reason I liked it more than 9, even though it's incredibly boring and it's completely follows the kids to the detriment of every other character, I still liked X way better than 9 just because it managed to not have any plot holes or retcons the entire way through. And that's kind of my main rule, is just stop fucking retconning every game in the next game. Don't just, stick to one thing. But so this game has probably, I could find something to gripe about, a retcon or a plot hole in every single chapter. Just like 9. But I think of the 3 games' stories, I like this one the best because of the emotional level of it. that overshadows the plot holes in this instance, because where 9 butchered characters on top of butchering the plot, this one has a fucked up plot, but it gets the characters more right than they've been in a very long time. Like, and I'm guessing this was a Brian Chard thing to depict Liu Kang and Kitana in 9 and X as bratty, snobbish, childish, generally not very good people. Sean Kittleson clearly sees them as the characters they were in MK1 through 3, as good people, as wise people. He gets them, and those two should be the 2 main characters of the NK universe, so that is super fucking important. And so the fact that really they are the heroes of this story, and justice is done to how they should behave, and they get a happy ending, makes it all worth it. So,
not to mention Baraka.
Yeah, fucking, I never thought I would see a game where Baraka has any depth at all, much less joining forces with the good guys. That is insane.
It keeps happening. First Malibu, and now here.
I mean, it only took 25 years to do it again.
I mean, it's amazing what, being told you're gonna fucking die and get your brain ripped out, kind of makes you think about your current life choices, your past.
He didn't even need a baby for motivation.
I mean, it turns out all you have to do to, like, get Baraka on your side is just don't treat the Tarkatans like shit.
Is to invite him to dinner. No one's ever invited me to sit at a table before.
No one's ever made us this offer before.
A table?
Like, ooh. There was subtle and sublime world building. The time that we spent at the Tarkatan camp.
We got to see a female Tarkatan. We got to see, like, ones who don't all look the same.
Yep.
They all have, like, this sick face paint on them.
I've been asking for that for years. They finally did it.
Like, the camp isn't just a couple of, like, teepees or some shit. Like, it's
a lot of teepees.
It's a lot of teepees.
It's a small city of teepees.
It's got, like, a bunch of, like, meat hooks and, like, cooking.
I love the way they use the fact that Outworld, some places are, like, lava-like it's bursting out of the ground. They use that to heat their meat. Like, they hang the bodies over top.
That's what I was. What the fuck was that jungle gym shit? Like, what was hanging up there?
I also, here's something I've noticed. So, like, Baraka in this game has, like, bone blades, and that's, like, been a weird thing that people, like, kind of contend over, but I've noticed in the story mode, his blades are metal, but every other Tarkatan is bone blades. So
I noticed that, too. It's interesting.
I think that a couple of months ago in the Discord, we were talking about, like, maybe Tarkatans can, like, stick their arm in, like, a forge and make their bones metal, like, for, like,
they're, like, Wolverining themselves, like, and that's a symbol of who's the chieftain.
So what you're saying that'd be sick. Like, Shao Kahn has a Weapon X program.
I'm saying the Tarkatans have a Weapon X program.
I mean, that's how you know Baraka's the leader, because he has the metal on his blades.
I'm okay with this.
And I assume that, like, white getup he's got, like, I assume that's, like, something only for the chief to wear as well, because most of them are, like, shirtless.
Yeah, there's a lot of they based most of those outfits on, like, the bondage straps that the goons have in Shaolin monks, which I like because it's a callback.
It's continuity. Who'd have thought?
I know there are so many Easter eggs in this fucking game. Like, so we didn't mention it before in the Crypt. When you walk into the warrior shrine for the first time, Kerry Tagawa comes on Shang's voice, and he says, "This is where Liu Kang beat me." And that's not where it happened in the new timeline, but that is where it happened in the old timeline. There's an item in Goro's lair. There's, like, a trophy room people have seen. One of the items in that trophy room is called, like, the Hearthstone of Sundo, which is Li Mei's village, and it's, like, this magic protection item. And the description for the item says that it was stolen from the village when the Deadly Alliance took it over. And again, old timeline, not new timeline.
I think it's a really good...
There's, like, weird lore discrepancies in that room, but for the most part, I really enjoy it.
I think it's obvious that just like the Crypt is not canon. It's just an assortment of other timeline shit.
Well, Kenshi is not dead. Everybody, like
I don't know. I think it's canon when I want it to be.
Well, okay, so I want to talk about. I have two major gripes with story mode, and this kind of ties into one of them. My two big complaints. The first one is that we never get an explanation for why all those bodies on Shang's island, Goro included, are sitting where they are and withered to death. And that seems like a big important thing, because, like, so they, like, Jax and Jackie get there, and Jackie makes this comment that's like, I guess this place died when Shang did. Okay, but while Shang was dead, Goro was, like, fighting in the invasion in Earthrealm. Like, we saw him after Shang died in MK9. He wasn't just sitting in a chair waiting to die of old age. Get there!
I feel like there are certain things that maybe, if we're lucky, could be explained once Shang comes out as a character.
I really hope so.
Goro's sitting there dead. If you want to believe parts of the Crypt are canon, Kenshi's in there dead. I don't know about Ermac.
Yeah, like, all of those monks, those are Shaolin monks that sit in the courtyard. They were there to watch the tournament, and then after Liu won the tournament, they all went home.
It's funny,
they shouldn't have just been sitting there waiting to die.
That thing that she says, I guess this place died whenever Shang did. It's like, you go there in the Crypt, and, like, everyone is still dead, Goro is fucking dead, and Shang's the only one that is alive.
Yeah, there's obviously a story we don't know to what happened to the island that involves, like, time shit, because all these people were only on the island during MK1.
Goro was fine last year.
Yeah, exactly.
He sat down and he died.
Speaking of Shang's son...
She died. But actually, no. I just want to bring up, I think that the Crypt, it's smart to look at it as being canon to what you need it to be, because... You go and you look at stuff like the Sun Do and the Sun Do thing, and then like Drummond's mask. And Drummond's mask, when you find it, says that like when he eventually got out of the Netherrealm, he went back to Outworld, and Khan wasn't happy to see him, and that's why Drummond's dead again. Where we saw in the MKX comic that Drummond was pretty much killed there by like Scorpion or I think that was it.
I think it was Quan Chi.
Scorpion or Quan Chi.
Quan Chi killed Drummond and Moloch.
Yeah. So, like, at this point, it's the canonicity of most of the MKX comic that I question more than anything else. The Crypt, if you look at it alone, seems to try to, like, answer a lot of questions about where people who aren't around during X or Y point wound up.
I just think, like, you can't take it as canon, because, for example, people are getting bent out of shape about the fact that Ermac falls off the pit and lands on the spikes, and then you steal, like, an amulet from him, and he's just dead now. That's not... So, there are other bodies of ninjas that fall on those spikes, and one of them is Sub-Zero, so that's impossible. One of them is Rain. One of them is Rain, but if you go back up, you look up, there's a second Rain fighting Blaze on the other side of the pit.
Just don't look at what you see in the bottom of the Crypt as being any kind of story indicator.
None of these guys are actually dead. Kenshi is not actually dead. That's just the Crypt.
I think a good reason to see why the Crypt is non-canon is because one of those ninjas is Chrome.
That's true.
Yeah.
It fucking man, the hits just keep on coming. I think the Crypt is a really good indicator of the overall like design decision, the goal of this game as far as narrative writing and all of that goes. Like the continuity,
it's Easter eggs and fan service. The game
comes second to fan service and cool moments. Fan service and cool moments come first.
Speaking of characters. Non-canon characters who are mentioned or appear in this game, besides Chrome, one of the items that you can use in the Towers of Time to, like, buff yourself, if you read the description for it, it mentions Hydro.
Yeah, there's a Hydro modifier on this tower.
There's another one that's you can radio Gemini to send, like, an airstrike.
Hey, look, she existed somewhere at some point.
Like, if Tremor exists, Gemini exists, but... Hydro and Chrome are the big ones because they've never been canon. And yeah, there is a no-face one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, it's canon for what I want it to be because, like, in the Crypt it says that Shao Kahn did indeed behead Jared, so fuck Devora.
Like,
I don't think Devora knows who Jared is. She just responds to being asked if she killed somebody by saying, yeah, sure.
She's like, I kill a lot of people.
Well, still, like, what's the point of even writing that intro if you're not implying that? Like, I don't...
boy.
Just to fuck with people.
Just to fuck with you guys. That's what it was.
The Devora intro just says, I hear you did this. It's, I kill lots of people. She's being Jimmy Tight-Lips.
Yep.
Devora didn't kill King Jared.
So, what if I did?
Devora wasn't even around when King Jared died. That was 10,000 years ago.
And if you want one more last little bit of proof that the MKX comics shouldn't matter in any way, shape, or form, except for some sort of rough version of the events, it's Cyrax and Sector in MK11's fucking story mode, and then ask yourself how the last part of the MKX comic made any fucking sense whatsoever, taking that into account.
Well, no, so Sector and Cyrax, the Sector and Cyrax that are in 11 were taken from MK9. Because every single person from the past, it's established, is from the same moment in the past. Everybody Chronica brought to the present was taken from Kung Lao's chapter. Between him beating the Deadly Alliance before he fights Kintaro. Everybody's from the same moment.
Yes, but, like, Cyrax pretty much just, like, wakes up in that bunker.
Yeah, because he hasn't been conscious since he was automated. Because it's MK9 Cyrax.
It literally does not make any sense to, like, summon an unconscious Cyrax from... I'm just looking at it as, like, no, just... The base went dormant, none of MKX's comic matters. Whatever happened between Sub and the Cyberlin, they all went dormant, and this is just them waking up. I can't do the MKX comic thing to myself anymore. It just does not work.
I mean, it's a repeat of the same thing. Cyrax immediately goes, I can't live like this, and fucking suicides himself to turn off the base. Same thing that happened in the comic.
Well, he didn't kill himself.
That drives me crazy, because old timeline Cyrax had no problem living as a cyborg, as a member of the Special Forces. And that was the best Cyrax has ever been.
Here, Cyrax was okay because it was like, Sub-Zero's like, no, don't fucking kill yourself, you moron. Listen, we'll figure this thing out. I did it. You could do it. I'll wake you up later. Chill, don't kill yourself.
So that dialogue, Sub-Zero is saying, I'll find a way to bring you back. And then Cyrax is like, okay, but not as a robot. And then he pulls those wires and falls over dead.
Yeah, he deactivates the things. He doesn't blow himself up or any weird thing like that.
Gonna have to find some way to preserve that brain in the case.
Yeah, no,
Cyrax,
I think they're just leaving him lying there. I think he's dead.
A lot.
I feel like,
Here's the thing, though. And this goes for Crypt, people being dead in the Crypt, and whether or not that's canon too. It doesn't matter, because skipping ahead, this game ends in a reboot.
It does.
There you go.
None of it matters.
Everyone dies.
It doesn't matter who's dead. They'll be back in the next one, because the universe started over.
I do the arguments about people being unsatisfied about what happens with Cyrax and this and that. I think it's time to accept that he has basically just suicided the character.
I mean, Sector died.
Yeah.
Well, no, somebody needs...
Cyrax went to sleep.
If you want to believe he went to sleep, you can, but the fact that he hates being a robot so much that he'd rather be dead is still true, and that's a problem for the writing of Cyrax in future games. Somebody needs to get in there. Somebody needs to get in there who understands that Cyrax can be a robot and live a fulfilling life.
Someone has to tell him he just woke up and he doesn't have a dick, dude. He's emo right now.
He wasn't using it anyway.
Give him a minute and he'll be like, I still have some functions I can perform. It's okay. I can still have worth.
He was okay in the Deadly Alliance era because MK4 at the end, he got most of his humanity back. Not everything. There was still some bits and bobs and doodads in there. He can't live with being a brain and a spine in a casing.
So that's the thing. Like you're assuming that like sun lamp they shined on him grew skin back. All I think happened in that MK4 ending is that his programming was lifted, and if you take off parts of his armor, there is skin under there. This version where cyborgs only have the head and the spine is not what it was in the old timeline.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's legit. DA Cyrax is my favorite. He was sick. I like DA Cyrax. Oh my god.
The Sun Lab made life livable for him.
And that's true.
If this is what they want to portray now, I understand him not wanting to be.
Old Timeline Cyrax had a different motivation anyway. He didn't start out turning against the Cyber Initiative and get captured. He agreed to it and realized after the fact that he'd made a mistake. And that is a different character, and that changes how he reacts once he's unprogrammed.
He was selected for it. And MK3 really didn't say either way whether or not he wanted it, but he went along with it.
But he has dialogue in that MK4 ending where he goes, like, he's basically, I realize what I've lost, and I'm glad to have it back, which doesn't mean he was captured while running away. It means he agreed and made a mistake.
Do you guys like what they did with the cool tech dreads with everybody? They gave them, like, unique shit.
Yes.
I really like Cyrax's tech dreads. Like a big tech dread hanging down the back. I thought that shit was tight.
So I have notoriously called MK9 Cyrax, I think, one of the ugliest designs in the franchise because I hate his duck face.
I've heard that opinion.
I didn't really like him so skinny. Like, I don't see Cyrax as a replacement for Kai. I don't want him to be Capoeira guy. So,
like
the super beefy Cyrax we got in this game, I fucking love it. Like, he's got the flat face like he should have, and he's, like, thick with 2 C's. He looks great.
He is. They are some bulky bots. But they're bulky, but they don't look, like, slow, really, or anything.
For a while, I was actually really concerned, because looking at Cyrax and Sector screenshots that we saw of their NPC forms in story mode, I was thinking that it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, they have one, and they just, like, palette swap the color, and... Nope. It's like MK3, but ugly. But no, actually seeing them in cutscenes and all the sublime differences and all the major differences and, like, the different dreads and shit.
Yeah, there are little details.
I want these as characters.
I do too, man.
I really hope that Ed learned the lesson of everybody complaining about Rain Sindel and... I always forget the third one.
I cannot imagine a version of myself cynical enough to be like, you put this much emphasis on both of these characters with fucking lines and fights and different color palettes, like, and they're not going to be playable.
I mean,
like,
people are pointing out, and it's fair to point out, that they do use a lot of Triborg animations when you fight against them.
Yeah.
But I think, Tanya was not finished when you fought against her in MKX story.
No, she did not have 3
She is
variations
different from
when you
the
fought
DLC
her.
version. I think that's what
I think this game overall is suffering from a rush problem that has affected everything to some degree.
Oh, we're all well aware of that.
Yeah. And I think that Sector and Cyrax is one of those places where you can look. I think they're still working on them, and it might be a while before we see them, but they are going to be DLC.
Yeah, I expect them in the second pack, not the first. And that's not just because the entire first pack has leaked.
That is, if we're assuming that those... What is it?
Those dialogues were hacked off the Switch version.
Yeah, from
and
the Switch.
They are too legit to be fake. They are just too convincing.
Well, they have to be real, because in the there's an intro with Frost and Raiden where she's like, me and Setron like killed Fujin, and then in these intros that we saw before we saw that Frost intro,
yeah, these intros leaked before the game came out.
Dude, don't say intros confirm things. Intros talk about all kinds of shit.
No, but they confirm who was designed for DLC.
I'm not debating the accuracy or the inevitability of this DLC. I believe it is, as we see it, and that these are characters that we're going to get.
Yeah,
but I'm also, like, a lot of people out there are going, there are 19 DLC slots.
There are 19 they can use. That does not guarantee that they will have That's what I'm saying. It's like, I like your world, I want to live in it, and I want to believe in DLC characters. That's a wet pipe dream that will get me to stick around for a couple of years. I might even beat the Crypt before everyone else is out. But I'm just going to slow my roll until I actually see the proof. Yeah. I'm not saying 19 is impossible. I'm just saying that was the placeholder they set up for themselves. They made room for 19 potential DLC characters. Whether or not WB lets them make 19 before they're forced to move on to the next game is a different story.
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to be expecting everyone in that to be DLC Pack 1, and That might be indicative of 19, but see.
What leaked was 8 characters, and we know the first pack is only 6. And also, 2 of those characters are very, very unfinished in terms of how many intros are on that leak. Like, there are 2 characters who have barely any intros at all, because they're obviously the last 2 that they were working on when the game came out.
Yeah, they don't have like any. They only have like small bits of intros with 2 of the other characters, and that's about it.
Yeah. So those guys are obviously pack 2.
Pooty rightfully reminds us that Ed said 30-something characters when they're done in the rapid fire interview, and from both contributors that 19 would make it like 44. So
didn't Ed also say that patch was coming in a few hours?
Ed says lots of things.
He does.
True. I'd love nothing more than for him to be bullshitting us and then having a secret 44, 45 DLC character plan, but believe it when I see it.
If we only get 2 packs, that ends at 38, I think.
Holy shit.
That's already a lot of people.
That is a lot of characters. I think that's all we really need. Like, a 3rd pack would be obviously great. I would love for, and I've been saying this for years, I would love for an MK game to be a platform and be supported for, like, more than 1 year. And I think this is the time to do it. I think it's going to be a long time before we get another MK game. I think they're going to...
They have said that. They're going to support it longer than any game they have before.
I think they're going to take a break from the franchise and do a new IP, and it'll be, like, more than the usual 4 years before we're playing MK12.
Either that, or they're just giving it a break to let next gen get here comfortably before launching or something.
Well, it's going to arrive sooner than people think.
I think Ed really wants to do a new IP, and I think he should. I think NRS needs to branch out from fighting games and make something in a different genre.
Ed's been making that shit for like 30 years now, bro. Like, yeah,
and after 30 years of Mortal Kombat, when people ask him what his favorite game to develop was, he says The Grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's been so many people that they've had to please on so many fronts, and, you know, us plot guys hate this or that, and the gameplay guys hate this or that, and doing this, developing a game under any circumstances is not an easy task. And developing one of the most well-known franchises in the world in terms of video gaming, with several different fan bases having different expectations on you, and being under, like, the boots of the parent company, WB, which apparently now has AT&T as a parent company. So AT&T owns Scorpion, which is very bizarre, but I try not to think about it too much. It's not easy, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
needs a break, the series needs a break. Give them, like, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, how many years, let them reboot with no expectations.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Yeah, I think a break would do us all some good. And I think, like, if it was me, if I was Ed as a creative person, working on the same IP, and only being allowed to work on that IP for any amount of time comparable to 30 years, I would go insane. I would be begging something else. And you look at producers who work for Capcom or for Squaresoft, they're allowed to do more than just one thing. Like, Itsuno doesn't just do Devil May Cry, you know? Fucking Ono doesn't just do Street Fighter. They're allowed to branch out, and, you know, it would be incredibly creatively stifling to only be allowed to work on one thing for the rest of your life. So if I was Ed, I would be begging to make a new IP right now.
I don't know how they all managed to show up, him, Steve Baran, at the MK11 reveal, not dressed in, like, red leggings and babbling about their precious antique cans and throwing cats like the crazy cat lady on The Simpsons. The sheer pressure that they must be under, and having to face all the criticism upon launch, as every game does now, which is, you know, kind of the result of living in a game industry which kind of relies on post-launch patches to sort shit out. This is not an MK problem. This is an every game problem now.
Yeah, the industry
I don't know how
has
they got insane.
Some issues, and I think, you know, one of the things that would probably push developers producers away from being so reliant on things like microtransaction is, frankly, the price of games needs to jump to $80, and nobody wants to hear that, but I think it's true.
You know, am I the only person who paid like $80 for Chrono Trigger on the SNES back in the day? Games were never cheap, man. Games were never cheap. This is a myth.
Yeah, games have stayed the same price, though, while the cost to make them and the time it takes and the number of programmers is exponentially skyrocketing with every generation. Like, to make a fighting game in 2 years is kind of insane, and it explains all those, like, ridiculous stories about how bad crunch is, that some guy died at his desk on Injustice 2.
For real. I don't have problems giving a company $200 for a game when I know I'm getting like 300 or 400 worth of content and I'm going to enjoy it for a couple of years. Honestly, maybe I'm just complaining about how much shit there is to do in the Crypt because my mind can't process it, because I'm so used to years and years of being able to get it all done within a month, you know? This is challenging.
Yeah, I think...
I don't care how much my parents have to spend on a game. I want it.
Two of the four of us work in the games industry, and... I don't know about Smoke Man, but I've been playing games long enough to have heard these stories about the games industry. It doesn't surprise...
I've heard
it's disgusting.
It's awful. It's
it doesn't surprise any of us, I'm sure, to know, like, those, like, horror stories of crunch and things like that. I think there are issues with the entire industry. How long the development cycle is on games needs to be longer. Games need to cost a little bit more to cover it. Unions would be nice for the fucking workers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that happens, then everyone packs up and moves to Thailand.
Yeah, there is that.
It's unfortunate, but it's very true.
I mean, like, there's a lot of outsourced work.
Is a filthy word.
Does get outsourced to places like Thailand and shit right now. Stuff coming from NRS gets outsourced to places like that right now. Like it happens.
Yeah.
I've stood in a room full of other like mobile testers at the very beginning of like my career and playing and like testing for like doing QA for like a third party company, and I've been like not literally spit on, but I've been like yelled at. People have gotten in my face and like 20 other testers because X and Y failed submission. Why didn't you find these bugs? Maybe that's because we didn't get a build until, I don't know, 6 hours before we were due to sub. Ever think of that, fucko? No, like, it's sad, but a lot of people who are in these positions are just used to bullying their way around, and like interns especially get shat on because they're just so very replaceable. And when you can replace something at the drop of a hat, why not treat it like shit to make yourself feel? It's a toxic fucking industry. It really is. Okay, you guys want to talk about them DLC characters now? Because we
didn't get very far into talking about story mode, to be honest.
Yeah.
What does everyone? I'll be back in 5.
Okay. What does everyone feel about Kronika as a character?
So my second, I had 2 major complaints with story mode, and one of them was that we never get an explanation for why everybody's withered on Shang's Island.
She's Frieza but sexier. BRB.
Okay. My second biggest complaint with this story mode is that Kronika, Cetrion, and everything to do with the lore about the gods is absolutely terrible. It is just the worst. And a big part of that is because Sean Kittleson clearly doesn't know Mortal Kombat lore enough to realize that his giant boner for Greek mythology doesn't fit.
Or care. He might
just not care. That's true.
Yeah.
So this game starts by reminding us that Shinnok cannot be killed, right? And then halfway through the game, Cetrion goes, "Yo, I killed the other Elder Gods." What?
That stuff is like, boy. If you were wondering if the story was serving, like, again, cool moments in fan service, like, just look at Kronika and everything that she's doing. She's kind of exists to make those things happen.
Cetrion,
wait, one of them.
No. I'm saying my opinions on Cetrion, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it. Dude.
I think she might actually overtake Dairu's throne of worst MK character. honestly.
Oh,
She's
dude,
developed.
I wouldn't say that just because her moves are kind of okay.
And she's hot.
She does probably have the best tits.
She's hot.
But she is developed enough for me to hate her. Dairu isn't developed at all, which leaves room for development for me to hate.
What makes me hate Dairu is that everything about his design is ugly. Everything about his moves doesn't form a coherent moveset.
Yeah. But at least his lore is fine. But
it's just very meh. You know,
Cetrion has dialogue.
The fact that I can't stand looking at him weighs way more heavy.
Just fucking despise. Oh my fucking god.
Look, I'm not defending Cetrion. I'm just saying that Dairu is so fucking ugly I don't want to look at him, and that weighs way more heavy to me than somebody's lore being stupid.
It's not just her lore. She and Kronika fuck up a lot of the.
I mean, the entire idea that on the power tiers between one being and elder gods, there are now Greek titans.
She call herself a titan.
Kronika is called a titan repeatedly in arcade endings and fight intros.
That's what she is. It's a thing.
Yeah, which is weird. The word titan is never actually spoken in story mode. That's kind of an important thing, exposition-wise.
She said it once in story mode.
No, she doesn't.
She does, dude. It's at the very fucking end, because I didn't watch any fucking end things, and I heard her say that she's a titan.
Is that if you lose a round?
I don't remember the requirements.
Unless it's in that little bit she says when you lose a round. I haven't heard it. There is no... And I've watched the ending a couple times because people have told me, no, she does say the word Titan. So I went back and rewatched, and I can't fucking find it. I don't know what people are saying. Somebody find me video where she says it.
She says she calls herself a Titan in the final fight with Liu Kang.
I have not seen that.
That sounds like a job for our operators here.
Somebody in our chat, find me a clip, because I have not seen Kronika say the word Titan anywhere in story mode.
Clip this man.
I'm finding it. Hold
on. Either way...
The point is, so... You remember how in previous games the Elder Gods' true forms are these giant dragons made of smoke and energy? And when they look like a person, that's just an illusion?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
Okay. So, how come someone who's more powerful than an Elder God, A, dies when their physical body is shattered, B, needs 3 MacGuffins to use her powers?
And here's a fucking thing. One of those MacGuffins, she made a deal with Shang Tsung to use his supposed soul well.
I don't actually know that that's what she... I think what she says is that she crafted the timeline so that Shang Tsung would become a soul stealer so that he would have this well of souls on his island.
Yeah, that's.
And then she just happened to put her crown in the well. I don't know that Shang ever knew it was there.
No, I think...
She set things up for Shang so Shang would put it together in case
I think she put the crown there after Shang died and there wasn't a deal cut between them.
I don't know why it'd even be there though without Shang knowing. If the whole purpose is, I'm gonna make him a soul stealer, and then all of a sudden this well appears out of nowhere, that doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing is that Kronika doesn't actually do things. When she says, I shaped your destiny, what she actually means is, I deleted every timeline where you didn't do what I wanted you to do. She doesn't actually make people do things.
That's shitty fucking time god. This character is fucking garbage. She sucks at doing things. All she does is make promises.
Yeah.
And...
listen, no, hold on.
I mean, that is a fair villain tactic. Every single person who's working for her is working for her because she said, in the new era, you're going to have a great life. She's lying to all of them.
Yeah,
that's
remember
obvious.
Bison dollars? Remember that shit? Same shit,
here's another thing. I don't know why, she bothers with people like fucking Kano and Noob Saibot.
She needed Kano to rebuild Sector. And she needed Sector because he has an army.
Okay.
See? Airtight.
I just don't think... See, I don't know why they bothered saying, Kronika offered Noob something?
An army... She offered him a clan. She offered both Sector and Noob Saibot the opportunity to take over the Lin Kuei, and neither of them realized that the other was after the same goal.
Noob Saibot should not give a fuck about the Lin Kuei.
No, he wants a clan. He wants a clan.
Yeah,
but he makes his clans out of dead people. It's a repeat of his deception story.
The Brotherhood of Shadow is right over there in the corner.
Yeah, no, the Brotherhood is a religious cult that worships Shinnok. They're not going to follow Noob.
Noob follows Noob, bro.
Like, Shinnok, as long as his head is still alive, Noob isn't giving orders.
I guess. I just don't think that he should even, need to make this deal with Kronika just to show up to fuck with Sub and Scorpion. He should just show up just to fuck with Sub and Scorpion.
Yeah, but, then people would be like... It would be like Atrocitus in Injustice 2, and people complained about that.
Hal Jordan!
At least this way, Noob kind of fits, in that... sometimes, I complain about in MK9 the fact that Sector and Cyrax ended up working for Shao Kahn, because... in the old timeline, it was interesting to have them as a neutral party who was both after Sub-Zero and fighting against the invasion because they are Earthrealmers. But MK9 made them work for Shao Kahn to make it easier to write a narrative with only two sides and not have any side plots, because it's really obviously hard for them to write side plots. They refuse to do it at every opportunity. They try to make things all so fucking straightforward, and sometimes that's to a detriment, but sometimes that does make things cleaner. Sometimes that does make for a stronger narrative. I think Noob Saibot working for Kronika actually gives him more reason to show up. Because if Noob wasn't working for Kronika, then his goal in life would simply be create my own army, take over the Netherrealm, and he'd be doing it somewhere off-screen and we'd never see him do it, and then it would amount to nothing because this game ends in a reboot.
I guess.
At least this way he's doing it on screen.
That's true. I also do feel that his interactions with Scorpion are...
Oh, they're weak as fuck.
They're very weak as fuck. They leave a lot to be desired.
You're clearly in those chapters where you can pick between one or the other person, like Jax, Jackie, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Scorpion, Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Some of the dialogues you get based on your choice make it obvious who the developers wanted you to pick for that fight, because one has more dialogue than the other, or one has more animation than the other.
I've only gone through story mode once, and I just straight up went Sub-Zero, 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 Jax, Jax, Jax. I never vacillated back and forth between characters. That'll be for next time. I'll choose all the opposite options.
By the way, Razor, you got linked a clip where she says it. Get fucked.
All right, well, I can't watch a clip while we're recording.
No, just so you know, get fucked. The truth is out there, and it's been brought to us.
All right, well, as long as the quote where she finally calls herself a Titan happens, it's a
fantastic sentence, dude. He wins, and she says, "I am a Titan." Period.
I don't believe you.
Well,
I feel like you're leaving some words out.
It's the non-canon ending. She doesn't actually say it.
Right, it's the non-canon ending.
Are we talking Titan like Jason and the Argonauts here? Or
yes.
like God of War here?
So in Greek mythology, the universe was created by Gaia and Uranus, I think, and he's like the avatar of space, and she's the avatar of land. Like, it's land and sky, and they make all the Titans, which are super gods. And the Titans, their children are Zeus and the gods, and then Zeus has a bunch of half-human children. So there are these tiers of power. And that's what Sean Kittleson is drawing on, because we don't just get Titans who are the parents of the gods. Like, you know, Kronika is apparently Shinnok and Cetrion's mom, which is weird. But we also get Charon the Ferryman, who brings souls to hell when they die. Now, previous games have very clearly established that when you die, your soul just kind of teleports to hell. That's how it works. I don't know why you would need a boat to get on board of. Like, what is that for?
He does look cool, and the boat does look a lot like the Nether ship.
There's a place, and then there's a place where they go.
Like,
to rest.
if your soul goes to hell on its own, and then you need the boat to take you to the part of hell that you're going to live in for eternity, I'm fine with that. But that's not really how they explain it. They also say that
just go with it.
The reason they need Charon is because his boat can sail between the realms. Because, you know, he picks up the dead in, say, Earthrealm and brings them to the Netherrealm. So,
hauls ass.
And the reason this is important is because, according to Raiden, he can't find Kronika's base because it is somewhere between the realms, outside the realms. But
is this just the void?
When we actually see it, it's clearly in the Netherrealm.
The part of the Netherrealm that's between the realms.
Oh,
just
okay.
Like Shang's,
that makes sense. The part of a realm that's not in the realms. All right.
Just like Shang's Island. You can sail
Shang's
there,
Island isn't outside the realms. It's in two realms at once. That's the opposite thing.
Look at it that way, then. Don't let it bug you so much.
I just think it was stupid dialogue writing. They should have written something else.
I did like Karen. He was bald and he was cool.
Yeah,
get back and we're picking the nits.
So Charon, while Devora has him captured, he's like, "You can't kill me. I'm immortal." So what is Charon? Is he a god?
Is he a member of Edema? Took you a second, but you got it. Sorry.
Hey, I still like that song.
He's blue.
Yes, well, we can't all be KMFDM fans now, Ken.
I know how you feel about it. Part of me likes it just to spite you.
Down C tuning, jumping in place.
There's a bit of hipster satisfaction in me liking it, given how much you hate it.
Look, man, if you like new metal, you're just doing it to yourself, and I don't have to lift a finger. Okay.
I don't like how... This is going back into Sean's boner for Greek mythology. I don't like Raiden and Fujin are now called demigods.
Yeah, that's actually just blatantly fucking wrong. Like a demi means
part.
half.
When did she call Raiden a demigod? I think she called Liu Kang god.
Cetrion and shit fuck to make Raiden and Fujin.
There are other intros and stuff where. Also, I think Raiden's bio on the website, which, by the way, this game doesn't have bios. The website bios are the bios.
Okay, I gotta go check that out.
So there is more than one place where Raiden and or Liu Kang merged with Raiden are referred to as a demigod, as though, like, Kittleson must have been sitting there going, well, Elder God and God is confusing. I need something to call the realm gods. And he decided on demigod, when demi means half. Like, Rain and Taven and Dagon are demigods. You can't use that term for Raiden.
I think Fire Liu Kang is a demigod. I would argue that's correct. But
well, it's also used for just Raiden, not Liu plus Raiden.
I believe that, but, well, sort of. I didn't actually hear that.
I mean, look, it's a fuck up. We've all been calling them.
I've never fucked up.
30 years.
Yeah, but this is the kind of fuck up that influences normies, man.
That makes you guys' voices go squeaky.
Look,
you're gonna get people who are like, oh no, actually Raiden is a demigod, and then you have to go through this whole bullshit to explain to them that the game was wrong.
They're normies.
Raiden being a god is one of those things that's more important than the minor fuck-ups here and there, like calling him a demigod in story. It's a part of his character. It's like trying to imply that Scorpion's something else other than a dead specter. In 8 or 10 or 9 years from now, when we get along to the next Double reboot, he's going to be just referred to as a god again. You know, it's going to be so long until the next time. So it's stupid. Raiden's a god. The terminology is utterly fucking wrong. Just fucking move on.
This is also one of those situations where it's important to remember the speaker, where you don't get butthurt whenever Devora says, so what if I did kill fucking Jared or whatever his name was? Like, okay, but it doesn't mean that she did. Whenever someone that hates Raiden says something negative or tries to undercut him, it kind of makes sense.
Okay, but like Kronika would know the right termurnology, and
she
bios
would and she
are
would intentionally be like, I don't care about the terminology. I hate you. Go away. You're a muggle.
You're reaching.
If you want to sit here and talk about it, and really stretch your brain about it, let me stretch about muggle logic. Come on, we're all stretching.
Did they call Shao Kahn a half dragon or some shit?
No,
like that?
Some developer did that on Twitter. It's not actually anywhere in the game.
Yeah, that was a disappointment.
In fact, there is literally an intro. I think it's Shao Kahn versus Johnny Cage, where he's like, what is the difference between Shao Kahn and a Shokan? And Shao Kahn goes, it's irrelevant, idiot. And then he's like, this is the stuff that keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
Look, all those normies are going to be long gone into careers by the time the next MK rolls around. It's not worth stressing over. You know the truth and I know the truth.
It's just another example of the way Kittleson wrote the comic. And it's like,
all of this stuff.
Look, there's all this wonderful shit about MK11 story mode that we haven't even started to cover.
That's what I was about to say. All this stuff, it made all the other the fan service and the awesome moments that happened, which there was a ton of. Happen.
I think it wouldn't bother me so much if it weren't for the fact that it's part of the giant bundle of dumb things about Kronika and Cetrion as characters. I don't think either one worked.
Okay.
I agree.
To try to make up for Cetrion
Sub-Zero fighting.
Cetrion is especially bad, but I just don't think Kronika was a good villain.
No, she's a very boring villain.
I think her boss fight was a well-designed boss fight, but as a character, I think she's truly awful.
No, she just exists so you can have young Johnny Cage and old Johnny Cage almost make out. That's why Kronika exists.
She also just looks weird, her face. It looks like if a baby just kind of grew up in an instant without any real
She is a space baby.
No, she's time baby.
We've been calling her a space baby for 6 months. I'm a little bored of calling her a space baby. Not that it's not true, but
different kind of baby.
I think the Kronika fight is actually a lot of fun, more so than the 11th. For once, it's not the same fucking
there's no veins.
Corrupted Shinnok guy, half on fire, glowing with magma and rocks. We're all afraid that was going to happen again.
There's a dinosaur.
That. She pitches dinosaurs at you. The only minor gripe I have about the Kronika fight is that I think that it would look better if the characters she summons were directly made of sand or something. As intermissions,
I also don't really like how animations where it grapples and shit or supers, it doesn't work on her.
I love that. I think that's the best thing about her design.
I think that's great. She doesn't. It's like Slayer and Guilty Gear. She doesn't really fall down often as much as she just sort of reforms whenever she's lightly injured.
She's a combination of the coolest things about the MK1 Shang boss fight and Raiden. The way when you knocked him down in the arcade games, he would teleport to his feet instead of standing up.
You never knocked down MK1 Shang. I can't remember. Did you?
You could. No. He'd kind of fall back and then just he didn't have a lot of frames of animation to get back up, but he did.
And he would do Kronika.
More often than not, he would get up, morph into someone else.
That was usually
right away.
Kronika kind of did that too.
Because Ed has said, the reason Shang morphs is just because they didn't have enough CPU space to animate much frames for him, so they decided to give him morphing to fill in the frames.
It was a good call.
But yeah, I think this is how a boss fight should go. They should be able to armor out of combos. They should be immune to sweeps and throwing and stuff like that. That's what always made the bosses in the arcade games feel stronger than the playable characters. Is they were immune to some
freeze
stuff.
Them. You can always freeze them. It's important.
You actually can't freeze Kronika.
I know, it's fucking stupid.
I haven't gotten up there with Sub-Zero yet. Thank you for the tip.
Yeah. I mean, I think she takes knockback damage from the ice ball, but she doesn't freeze.
Oh man, block damage in this game with projectiles, it's a scary thing. But
you can't freeze Onaga? I knew I hated him for other reasons, too. Man, fuck that character. Anyway.
So, things I loved about the story mode, like...
Yes, please.
It really did feel like the redemption of Liu Kang.
It really...
So many levels. Like, to me, it felt like this is the Liu Kang that I've been missing ever since I was, like, in my teen years, you know? Here's, like, that likable, affable guy being presented... That was presented to us in the MK movies to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But finally, like, fleshed out in a game where we can actually see him.
There are so many, like... cute little moments. Like there's when they first show up in the arena and after Shao Kahn runs away and Liu and Kitana say, okay, goodbye, we're gonna go off to our other realms, I hope I see you again. Like she gives him a hug and he has this moment where he like reaches to hug back and then he kind of holds himself back, but then he has this giant smile on his face as him and Raiden teleport away.
Big goofy ass smile.
That was
cute.
That gave me the feels. And to actually see Kitana displaying, like, that warm side of her, rather than, like, resting on Imperial Queen bitch face, which I feel she's been stuck in for so long.
Yeah.
Like,
she did.
The emotional connecting side of Kitana.
It is nice
Kitana
to see...
herself, actually, I feel
you know another thing I really love about this game? This is the first time in canon they've ever actually called Liu the Chosen One.
Yep.
And I just, like, there are so many movie references, they just really embraced it. And I'm so fucking happy that they're finally doing that, because...
This stupid intro where Kitana, it's like, I mean, fighter is Sub-Zero, and Kitana's like, I'm gonna use the element that brings life. Boy.
Who the fuck was it? Who the fuck was it at the MK11 reveal? Well, we're trying to distance ourselves.
It was some WB guy on a bus he didn't want us to sing the theme song or something.
You fucking dipshit. You fucking ass. If you're listening to this, what the fuck, man?
Just some loser intern who doesn't know what's up. Yeah.
Apparently everyone on the bus booed him too, so...
Yeah, and then we got Kerry Dagawa. We got fucking Movie Reptile as a statue in the Crypt. We got so many intros that quote lines from the movie.
Techno Syndrome appearing in a remix form in a fucking trailer, and in remix form in a fucking stage. Are you kidding me? Distancing ourselves from the movie. You fucking intern hack.
And speaking of references to things, has anybody noticed just how many brutalities are old fatalities?
Oh,
the arcade drop is back.
Okay. Before we get there, I just want to like drop another little thing about like characterization and the redemption of characters, because I feel like I could just like rattle off a fucking list. But in addition to Kitana finally showing that like personable side of herself, that kind of thing that I've always wanted, like I'm so glad that this game came out before you and I, Razor, did the Kitana retrospective, because it addressed something I've had a huge problem with. You know, it's like we've never gotten to see Kitana as a person just like in regal mode. But this,
the fucking her as a diplomat, like the stuff we saw a tiny bit of. We saw it a tiny bit in Kung Lao's gold ending, where her making peace between the centaurs and the Shokan was a thing. We actually see her doing that the whole game. This game,
she's being the person we've always pictured her as, and to put the cherry on top of the fucking cake, she slit Shao Kahn's throat. She ended him.
I think it was a slash across the face. I have a minor problem with that. Like, it doesn't bother me that Kitana killed Shao Kahn. I just wish they'd animated it better, because he takes the hit to the face, and then he kind of rolls around and groans for a moment before he finally stops moving. It's just
I wish she would have done her MKX fatality on him, where she like pounces on him and just like puts the knife through his head, or the fan through her head.
I wish it wasn't just a decapitation or something that's more clearly a kill, because he looks like he's still alive for a moment before Kung Lao goes, "She did it."
There was like Kung Lao's reaction was my reaction. Whatever, like I thought that she slit his throat, but whatever. I have to go back and rewatch the end. But the point is,
it's vague. It's weird.
Ended him. The person the person who from day fucking one has had the right to kill that son of a bitch finally fucking did it. You don't know how happy that made me. You don't know how much closure and how much peace I felt for years of being an MK fan. And they could have just as easily had Liu Kang do it, but no. They gave that conflict the personal resolution it always needed.
Yeah, I gotta say,
Shit, I'm so
the
happy.
only thing, like, so, the fact that this game ends in a reboot, obviously I've not been happy with this whole timeline, and I've been waiting for that. The
Who's
one
typing?
downside to that happening is that I really, really like the idea of Kitana Khan, of seeing how she took the throne in this game through diplomacy and being the one to kill Shao Kahn, and Kotal hands it over to her willingly because she clearly deserves it. And, like, I would like that to be a status quo for her in future titles.
So we're getting asked by RTSC Great Kung Lao, all of Kung Lao's quotes like she's out of your league now. Now he's out of her league. How did we like Kung Lao's reactions? Well, I want to say, this game kind of does go away towards cementing human Kung Lao as like the rival douche that he always seems to have been ever since Shaolin Monks. But at least he was funny, and I appreciated his quips.
So here's my... I've never minded Shaolin Monk's Kung Lao. I know a lot of people have a problem with it. I always saw Kung Lao as not having a personality until Shaolin Monks. Like, a lot of people say, well, he was a pacifist, and he's like, no, that happened at the end of MK3. In MK2, he didn't really have a reason not to go to the tournament.
Since Shaolin Monks and, like, through MK9 up through MK11, he's been kind of stuck in the pre-death persona that I guess this is what they wanted to show us all this time. So before he becomes pacifistic and embarks on this new life of non-violence, this is the guy
Kung Lao
who
with
he
an
is.
ego, the Kung Lao who's bitter that Liu is better than him. Like, I don't have a problem with it as long as they do it in a way that makes him endearing and not just an asshole. And I think they have, in 9X and 11, I think they have succeeded in walking that balance of giving us a Kung Lao who is that, but still likable.
I'll say 11 more than anything else, because X, he was Revenant-y, and 9, he was...
Well, when I say X, I mainly mean, like, the fight intros.
That's fair. But I think that...
Man, Kung Lao was the best in those intros in MKX. I love old man Kung Lao.
I like his attitude.
Yeah, I actually like Kung Lao cocky. I like when he says, like, you know the great Kung Lao? Well, I am even greater. Like, that's amusing to me.
I would now have a quarrel with you a little bit, but I appreciate that he's got a mouth on him. That's fun.
But I also like, if you look at all the other intros, like how Kitana and Jade talk about Kung Lao, like, obviously he's getting shit for being such a douche.
As long as other people in universe are aware of it, then yeah, I'm fine with it. But I do want to say that I think a lot of the hatred towards that came from, again, the old Malibu comics where he was seen as very stoic and very, you know, serious.
Yeah, the thing about, like, a person who's very quiet and serious and, like, strong silent type is they don't really get to do much in a story. Yeah. Like, you need dialogue to deserve screen time. Like, they keep undercutting Sub-Zero's screen time in these games because he's that kind of guy. And it's easier to give screen time to someone who has a boisterous personality.
So this time, I think that while Kung Lao is, yes, at least he's a stark, funny douche, so I enjoyed him for the most part.
Yeah, just keep him funny, and it works.
He has a quarrel with everybody. For Sub-Zero... Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say that I think my favorite scene in story mode is the scene where Kitana, like, offers to kill Kotal Khan with Baraka if he doesn't conform to Baraka's request.
God, she's badass. I think MK11 is best Kitana of all. Period. Best she's ever been.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time since she had anywhere close to this strong a showing. I would say, I mean, obviously because Deadly Alliance didn't have, like, cutscenes with dialogue. That was the last time she was really, like, a diplomat and a leader and got a strong showing in a game. And this obviously trumps that just by virtue of having, like, visual... You get to see it as a fucking movie.
And, of course,
we didn't do that since, like, MK4, or MK Gold ending.
Yeah.
And by virtue of not having an ending where she's murdered. No, she actually got... Her and Liu finally got that happy ending.
Yeah.
They are responsible for whatever comes next.
That sounds ominous when you put it that way.
Well, you know who to blame now if future timelines
it does. The ending does raise questions about what could the next timeline possibly look like, because without a Shinnok, Scorpion's origin can't happen, and without a Shao Kahn, the games can't happen.
I believe that we're going to have to
questions.
Go into just a completely new timeline. You know, this cannot continue. The ending that they gave us.
What story do you tell without like the starting point of Outworld versus Earth in a tournament?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a tournament happening and how that would get set up, which is kind of important.
Would the Mortal Kombat tournament even exist in the first place?
I mean, not if there's not a Shao Kahn.
The people that I feel for right now are the fans of, like, the combat kids, the next generation, because it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a long time, I think.
There is a way you could do it. If, for MK12, if you wanted to still have Cassie and her peers on the roster.
I mean, Takeda is fine. He could still work either way.
Well, what you'd have to do is, so if you started 12 with like a history mode where you got to see like a timeline sort of, it's the sort of thing a Soul Calibur game would do where you read bits of lore and that's like a side mode. It's a little like, it's like a Crypt or a content thing. And you could see like what the Liu Kang and Kitana created version of the timeline looks like, where, okay, so they decided that some of their friends wouldn't be born unless Shao Kahn existed, so they allowed him to exist, knowing that he'd be defeated anyway. So you read a timeline, it's like a version of MK1 happened, a version of MK2 happened, a version of MK3 happened, blah, 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 and the game itself, the story mode of MK12, is set in the present day, and there is a Cassie, and there is a Jackie, and there is a Kotal, and whatever the status quo is for MK12 when it starts would be set up by that little timeline mode you can go into and read. And that's kind of what they would have to do if they wanted to preserve some of the characters the way people like them, like the status quo that people enjoy.
Or you could just throw them in as completely non-canon characters and have fun.
Yeah, the other thing they can do is just fucking reboot and go, well...
Or have a timeline thing in that game and just be like, here's some time-displaced characters from the other thing.
I mean, they could keep doing time.
I think portal. The end.
Here's the thing: is I think time travel was the theme of this trilogy, but it does not work as the theme of the Mortal Kombat franchise. I think they need to move on now.
I agree.
I think that whatever they do for MK12, you know, it's going to be 6, maybe 8, however many years until the next MK game. We're looking at a big break. And I think when that break is up, people who right now feel, I don't want to see MK1 retold again, will be more amenable to it after a long passage of time. So I think, you know, just do a fresh reboot. Do just a simple people at Shang Tsung's tournament the game for the next one. And, you know, maybe try a new art style, get fucking gritty with it like Legacy. I don't care anymore. Like, if that's what they want to do to make it feel fresh, they can do that. But I think that's what the next game needs to be, is let's just go back to the goddamn tournament.
That's what I wanted to happen in this game. I wanted the Raiden Kotal Khan Outworld tournament.
It would be nice if they find a way to like actually make tournaments more of an entity as the series go forward, but you can't do that all the time, you know?
No.
You know, I just mean like, okay, MK12 is going to be, because it's going to be after a big break, it's going to be an event when it comes out, like MK9 was, where it was a big revival, you know? And when you do a revival game, you get a bigger audience usually than like, or at least a lot more media attention. Like, it goes a little more mainstream than releases usually do. So you're going to get a bunch of new, like a whole new generation of young people are going to be coming in, and MK12 will be their first game. And then you've got all the people who've been waiting over 5 years for the game, who are like ready for something fresh, and they're ready to come back to Mortal Kombat the way they were after versus DC when we got MK9. They're going to have that refreshed feeling. And when you're reintroducing a franchise for the first time, you want the fresh start. You want the lack of baggage. Which, if you just retold Shang Tsung's tournament, like, if you just treated it like you're remaking MK1 the movie, and that's the theme of that game, I think that would feel better for a lot of people. I think that would be... it's... Us, we've been following it for 25 years, and we know all this continuity, but for people who aren't us, it's really confusing. So just start over from the beginning. And even not even that. Like, you could do The Conquering of Edenia, or you could do Great Kung Lao. You could do something from the far past.
There's a fuck ton of things they could do. I've been wanting even if it was like a dopey like side game or something with the Great Kung Lao shit forever. That would be really sick to see.
Okay, but like, we're speculating about the future.
We are.
Like, go back to how much ass MK11 rocks. Because it really does.
Somebody gonna talk about the fucking Fire and Ice chapter? It was tight.
Okay.
I loved the fact that the chapters were titled. Like, that was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
That was
and
nice.
so Fire and Ice comes after Shaolin monks in the order.
Oh, that's awesome.
You guys notice that?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. You cheeky bastards. Okay,
Man,
I think that my favorite
they really
moment-
want to do that.
I liked how much respect that this once again treated Sub-Zero with. In that it wrapped up a lot of things, not necessarily about Sub-Zero's plot that we thought were going to get wrapped up. Because going into this, a lot was going to be about him finally ending things with Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot was, I have to say, one of my few disappointments with story mode. Because he was just kind of a goon. Maybe it's different in arcade endings, but I don't want to get into arcade endings.
I wish, obviously, like everybody else, that Noob had a bigger role and more screen time. But one thing that I appreciate in this game is that Kuai Liang is no longer trying to save his brother. He's finally accepted that Bi-Han is just an asshole.
Did anyone else, upon Kuai Liang saying, "We share blood, we are not brothers," fucking drop their controller and start applauding?
That was one of the best
That was
fucking
really good.
I made a noise.
I put my controller and I'm like, fucking yes.
I definitely made a noise
for 10 seconds. Jesus fuck.
It's just, I am just so tired of people who think Bi-Han can be saved and that he's mind controlled and that Noob is not the real him. No, the man is an asshole and his own brother's finally admitting it.
So, another of my personal favorite story moments here was them walking into the cyber lab and Sub crouching down and like looking at the blood-stained Lin Kuei amulet, and like his fist is epileptic with rage and pain over the students he's lost. And it's like, this is a man who loves his students. It's like, this is a man I wish I could study under,
Yeah, I mean,
the ideal sequel if ever there was one.
That was always implied in the old timeline because of how that's why he left the initiative. That was his family.
They did such a good job, with the animating, like the facial expressions and things like that. That those things come across even better than ever before. And it
was really nice that Scorpion was there to say, I'll help you rebuild your
to put
clan.
his hand on his shoulder and be like, I know that pain, bro.
Yeah.
Just the feels that this game gives longtime MK fans in every fucking mode. How can you not like this?
You know what I appreciated about that moment is the Lin Kuei wasn't wiped out 100%, which is like the poor writer's easy go-to. Like, Kittleson does it in the comic where the whole Shirai Ryu die and has to be rebuilt again. I hate that. I hate when something is like genocided and then they just rebuild it in the next game like it was no big deal. Like, no, they say the Lin Kuei only took heavy losses. They're not all dead.
They learned their lesson.
And, like, the Shaolin Temple is attacked and there's bodies everywhere, but there are still Shaolin left on the boat at the end. Like, they're not all dead.
There's a lot of Shaolin. Seriously, enough with the decimation and rebuilding of entire clans. As long
you know what? Kittleson did it twice in the comic. He did it to the Shirai Ryu, and then he did it to the Oshtek race, and neither is canon in the game.
Look, just forget the comics. They don't matter. They just don't matter.
Yeah.
Aside from Kotal going, well, this fight I had with Goro, blah, 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 blah. You know, he was going on about, like, we'll see how canon the comics are. And, yeah, I see how canon they are, bro, and the answer is not very. But anyway.
I mean, obviously, Shiva's queen, and Kotal fought Goro, and that's pretty much it. Like,
you take what you can get out of it.
I can name right off the top of my head 2 things from the comic that are not canon in this game. For one, in the comic, Black and Kano interact, and it's clear that Aaron has never been a Black Dragon and doesn't get along great with the Black Dragon, and Kano would not let him join if he wanted to. Another one is fucking, obviously, Kotal's whole backstory. Like, in the comic, he was present for MK9, and after Reptile failed to win the tournament, Shao Kahn was going to execute him, but Kotal said, no, spare this guy. He's a good spy. You don't send a spy into a tournament. That obviously doesn't happen in MK11's version of events, where Kotal spent all of MK9 in the flesh pits locked up for no reason.
Which is fucking sad, because finally Reptile got some due, and now that's not canon.
Yeah.
Because being Reptile is suffering. Even when they give it to you, they take it away.
If I was to, other than obviously how well he wrote Liu Kang and Katana, the only other thing that I really am going to give Kittleson props for that, like, is obvious he learned from a mistake, Scorpion does call his wife and kid Harumi and Satoshi in this game. Kittleson finally learned their names are not Kana and Jubei.
Okay, so the question of Scorpion, that's what I want to get to next. Because that's a mixed bag for me.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it hurts, spoiler alert, seeing Grandmaster get murdered by that bug bitch.
Oh yeah, so I'm of mixed feelings on this.
Salty bitches about that, huh?
I think we're all tired of Bug Lady.
Everybody hates Devora. It has to stop.
She kills a couple people, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, she's fucking Hitler. Man,
nobody likes a Mary Sue.
You know how many people fucking kill people in this video game? It's Mortal Kombat.
It's like, how many people have a body count? You know, like Devora's
like how many people have been killed by the same person? Devora's only competition in that regard is Sindel, and everybody hated that part of MK9.
The salt, man.
With time, I didn't accept it. But we were joking in the Discord about Devora being responsible for everything, from the creation of the tournaments, to the fact that Cabal needs a mask to live, to the creation of Kano's breakfast cereal.
There was a long mix of jokes about how if Devora killed Jared, then she's also done all of the things. There was a mix of that and quoting lines from the Poochie episode of The Simpsons.
Clearly, she never killed Jared.
It is time for it is time for Devora, sorry. It is time for Devora to go back to her home planet and die on the way.
I like the character, I enjoy the design. I don't like her doing all the things.
It took Quan Chi a long time to get any sort of comeuppance.
Yeah, no, she's a fine design. She would be a cool character if they didn't write her like a fucking Mary Sue. And it's not just that she kills everybody. It's that she always does it the same way. Whenever she fights someone, the legs come out of her back and it's an instant win button. Like, she doesn't actually fight anyone.
I really like it that she popped off about killing Melina right in front of Shao Kahn. She doesn't give a fuck.
And then it's so that she gets all these kills, and then she herself is pretty much unkillable.
She just scurries off into like a corner and is never seen again.
Well, I mean that's kind of the thing. Like she's
actually Devora is like canonically.
So if a
bunch of canonically
bugs...
immortal. She's not really alive. She's a sentient hive made out of the bugs inside her. So if you break her apart, they'll just rebuild
her out to get rid of her.
You need to kill it with fire.
Yeah, you need to, like, fire or acid. You need to destroy it. All of the bugs, like fire, acid, radiance, lightning, and it never
to do the whole thing.
Never fucking happens.
But I knew that part was going to come up first. So that's the bitter part. It hurts to see Grandmaster Asashi die, especially at her hands. After all that he went through, all the progression he finally came, this whole long path that this timeline's version of Scorpion went through, redeeming himself, rebuilding the Shiryu, to see that end is a sad thing.
Yeah.
But conversely, I want to again point out that this does do his Scorpion incarnation a lot of favors. I've been saying this on like the Lost Scorpion retrospective.
I mean,
but one of the things that I liked about MK9 was, to an extent, that they showed us that Scorpion was capable of more than blind and angry rage.
I mean,
and by passing the responsibility to his younger, angrier, spectral self, and having that spectral self come through with it and change his angle and actually rethink his allegiances and his loyalty, and being honest with himself about everything being motivated by the loss of his wife and child, that meant a lot to me. So as much as it hurts seeing Grandmaster Asashi die, this game, I think, did a lot for Spectre Scorpion as a character.
I mean, for me, I always come back to MK2 and the thing where, like, that's always how Scorpion was supposed to be, and other games flanderized him, and so it's just
he wasn't a Revenant. He was, like,
you know,
new, like he
the
was
search
sentient.
for redemption is not at all new, but it's new to a game with cutscenes.
I did like how, like, the trailer pretty much said exactly what was going to happen with Scorpion. Current Scorpion was going to die, and classic Scorpion was going to walk right up and avenge him.
I mean, so I would be, if this game did not end in a reboot, I would be super fucking mad that Grandmaster Hazashi died. And
yeah, that's
not
the
just
thing,
that he
like,
died, but the Takeda that wasn't even around to see it.
Don't even fucking talk. Oh boy, yeah.
Also, I feel that Devora does not, like, earn that kill. That should have been Noob Saibot's kill.
Yeah,
Why?
that's...
Oh, Noob doesn't fucking care who killed him. He's happier anyway.
It should have been somebody that's not Bug Lady.
It should have been someone that
doesn't give a
it
fuck
should have
about
been
Scorpion.
someone that's connected to Hanzo in some sort of way.
There would
Instead
have
of
been
a random
Noob.
Bug Lady.
There would have been kind of a poetic irony in Noob actually being it. That would have been more satisfying. I agree with that.
I mean, so the
had it not been Devora at all, I think I'd have walked away much happier.
The reason that I'm not mad about it is because, I mean, this game does
Reboot?
end in a reboot, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And what I don't understand is why Grandmaster Hazashi dying is a tragedy when the comic established that he can just walk out of hell anytime he wants.
Look, I told you guys, tie-in media is a mistake.
Yeah, but Sean
They went
Kilson
a
wrote
lot-
it. He knows
No.
what he did.
No, I told
He's
you.
had his nose rubbed
It
in the
doesn't-
carpet, surely.
I think I think the quality came from Scorpion dying the way that he did, and dying for really a good guy, giving his life to be a good guy, and helping out his younger self and being a good guy all the way to the end of him dying again. Like it was a nice end redemption, like a total redemption for his character, and especially because reboot.
I just, the fact that it ends in a reboot means I don't have to be mad about it. But if it didn't end in a reboot, then Hanzo dying in a game Takeda's not in would be really, really fucked.
Just
Yes.
gonna say,
Yes,
I would
it
not
would.
say no to a couple extra chapters of story DLC.
There was a story thing in
Yeah.
that Twitch leak.
In that DLC leak, there was a slot that said story DLC. Bring it on.
We'll
Bring
see.
it on. I want to see it.
I do too.
We'll see.
It's weird that Scorpion would never even like mention Takeda in story mode. That's one of the things that bugs me, because
There
I think
is-
that's something that makes Scorpion a much
all we
more
get,
interesting
I mean,
character in this timeline than he was in the other timeline.
Takeda cameos in a couple endings. I don't think Scorpion's is one of them. But
Which
all we
again is
really
weird.
get is one of the fight intros between between Scorpion and I think Cassie is him going, "Where is Takeda?" And she's like, "That's
Yeah.
classified."
There's other ones. It was weird. What was it? It was Jax and Katana. Jax is like, I wish Jackie could find a guy like your guy, and Katana's like, I hear good things about Takeda, and Jax is like, he's no chosen one. Just throw away shit like that.
Yeah, but I just mean in terms of, like, Scorpion saying it.
No, I agree. I'm not bummed that I'm not that bummed that Takeda's not in the game. I really liked what Takeda did for Scorpion. And I wish Scorpion would have talked about it because I like that Takeda is that important to Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion is really Takeda's real dad, and that's why it kind of bums me out.
That's why it's kind of important. And it's important because finally Scorpion got another son. He got to have another family.
Like, Kenshi is obviously the Jor-El, and Scorpion is the John Kent.
Right.
Okay. Other people I don't think precisely got a fair showing. Although, a long-running problem that MK's had has been, a lot of the bad guy grunts really don't get their own chapters. But for what it's worth, we saw Baraka get all this advancement and a place at the table.
Yeah, Baraka and Shiva too get things without even being playable, or in her case, not even being in the game.
So yeah, it's not even about chapters. It's about exposure.
It's really about how much they're willing to devote a cutscene to the character, and they obviously weren't willing to devote anything to present Aaron Black.
That is exactly.
He only shows up in the background of crowd shots.
Yep, he's there. It's important to know. And Kotal Khan makes sure that we know you're okay. You're cool. Oh wait, Johnny Cage does too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Johnny Cage is like, you're kind of a good guy now.
He kind of does the little wave with his hand, like, kind of.
Kind of.
The only two disappointments I have as far as representation in story mode are Aaron Black and Noob Saibot. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I was expecting Noob especially to get a lot more, but we've already covered that. But Aaron was just such a punk for the second game in a goddamn row.
The whole Aaron as a black dragon thing, I get why you'd, as a writer, think that's convenient to do. I don't think it serves Aaron's character well at all.
No, it really doesn't at all.
It also, I'm not clear on whether or not the fact that he's 150 years old has been retconned or not. I can't, nobody talks about it one way or the other.
Do they shake intros?
His ending is one of the few that I've actually seen because I was hoping to get an answer to that, and his ending doesn't touch on that one way or another.
His whole ending is like, yo, I like the timelines merged. I'm going to dump the hourglass into the sea.
Bye, lol. That crazy cowboy, what will he do next?
That's another thing. Another disappointment. Not as big a disappointment for me as not knowing how the island got that way, or the fact that Kronika and Cetrion suck. But a minor disappointment is the fact that clearly Sean Kittleson has no interest in writing Dark Raiden and wrote him out of the game in Chapter 2.
Which doesn't make any sense the way they explain it.
I mean...
She was like, I have a problem with Raiden existing. I'm just going to undo him for about 5 seconds. And Raiden comes back and he's fine. He's like, well, I exist outside of space at times, so Kronika can't really affect me. Dark Raiden, as a plot angle, is just not even there.
It's, even when Dark Raiden exists in Chapter 1, he's kind of a jerk, but he's still a good guy? In terms of, Sonya and Cassie being willing to work with him, he's not nearly dark enough outside. He's clearly super dark when he's shocking Shinnok and, making these angry faces.
It's there as a point of commentary and discussion as a plot event, but it's not a plot element as far as the story goes. It's something that happened... It's him between X and 11.
Yeah, it's clearly Brian Chard wanted to do Dark Raiden and left the company. And Sean Kittleson came in and said, I don't want to do that.
As soon as Dark Raiden shows up there, for the first time in story mode, he just teleports in and Cassie's like, Raiden, what is it? And Raiden just walks up, the Nether Realm.
Yeah, what was the Nether Realm gonna do there. Anyway? I wasn't clear. They didn't say what Lou and Katana were actually up to. It seems like Raiden was just sitting there for 2 years and finally went, fuck it, let's get him.
And I mean, that is kind of a Dark Raiden thing. Listen, we have to go down there and just kill these guys because they're getting on my nerves.
He was just sitting in his living room, tapping his fingers, and he's like, okay, it's been 2 years, that's long enough.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what happened.
He's just going through a photo album. Fuck this guy. Fuck that
Like, Lou and
guy.
Katana
He's
were
cool.
probably just sitting around having dinner, and Raiden pops into the front yard, and he's like, I'm here to fuck you up.
Yep, all you guys gotta die. It's time. Look at me. The fucking disco ball outside. Everybody come look. The neighbors are on your lawn.
I can confirm reading these leaked intros that Aaron doesn't at all mention the deal that he made with Shang Tsung to extend his life.
According to the alleged leaks.
Alleged, okay.
Alleged.
I wonder if
Fujin is on an alleged leak, it's alleged as fuck until I see that shit.
It's confirmed with a C. It's not confirmed with a K. That's how
I need
we
to
do
see
it.
Fujin before it's real.
It's gonna happen. I believe it.
The DLC is only
I
lowercase
saw the
c
judgment
confirmed.
post.
It's not capital K confirmed.
Okay, so, Sector and Cyrax, NPC talk aside, I enjoyed their spots in the story a great deal. Cyrax was, once again, that guy that I always knew him to be. And I really like that Sector got fucking punked. God, did I ever enjoy that.
Kano,
Wait, what are you...
Kano blowing
where
him
are
up
you going?
and him not seeing it coming is kind of amusing.
Just the guy who makes, like, logic and the inevitability, just, no, fuck you, you're a walking WMD, and we're gonna use you for that purpose. That was funny as shit to me. Anyone else we have forgotten to cover? Yeah,
I mean,
Cabal?
so young Cabal definitely has speed powers.
Yes.
That
let's just
entire
forget
chapter of MK9 is now void. Like, just retcon
least
a whole
that's-
chunk.
Just that scene. Forget about it. He saved his life. Forget talking about the powers. He's a fast guy. Gotta go fast.
I don't
also
think
a
he
fucking
ever
idiot.
was partners with Stryker in this timeline. I don't think... Because there's not enough time for him to have gone back and joined the police force.
He's also such a fucking idiot. I swear to Christ.
He's...
You know,
I
this
really
agent
love
of the special
the
forces just
scene
jacks
where
you up in
Kano
the
lies
future.
about Sonya being the one who burns him, and then is like, did she really do all that? Nah, but now he's motivated.
Hey, there you go, Razor. Kintaro was responsible for something, and it came up again later. Kintaro didn't.
No,
But the
the
fact that he
extermination squads burned him, Shad.
You keep believing
The
that, sir.
extermination squads burned him.
Hey, I'm just saying. Anyway.
Kintaro's
So,
name was never spoken.
No, it wasn't. But he did his job.
All right.
He did.
All right, if you say so.
All right, so I know that we've beaten this into the ground, but holy Christ, Ronda Rousey's terrible.
She's not as bad as I thought she'd be.
She's god-awful. She's
bad,
bad
but she's
inside.
not... Okay, so, like, the Midway
performance woke my
employees who
wife
did all
up.
the voices in Deception are worse.
She's bad for someone who's trying. Like, she's trying to act. You compare them to people that just aren't even trying in the first place. Of course she's gonna look good.
Did you hear whenever she was talking about being dead? Whoa, seriously? That was a better performance of me hearing that I'm going to die than she gave in that scene. Man, she was fine in chapter 1, though. It was passable. I wouldn't say fine. It was okay.
There are brief
After
moments
that,
where I
it was,
find her believable, and the rest of the time I'm like, yeah, this is... You know what? She has a scratchy quality to her voice that is clearly not meant for voice acting. Like, you don't hire someone who, for example, has been smoking 20 packs a day for 20 years to do voice acting unless that's the character.
She's
they're
got to
gonna
not
be able to
be
do
an actor
anything else
quality
but
to her
that.
voice. That's bad for acting.
And Rhonda just does not have a voice that you want to listen to.
You know what's funny? In, like, 1975, David Bowie claimed that smoking cigarettes was good for your singing voice. Again, this is the era he was on a lot of cocaine and milk and red peppers, but, you know,
Like,
just different points of view.
When I hear her say lines where she's just like, "How do I earn your respect?" Like, that's fucking terrible. Like that almost is midway employee tier, in my opinion.
I mean, but that's an intro. I'm just talking about story mode. I thought she was.
It's still the voice acting.
Yeah,
it's
no,
really
I'm not.
bad.
I'm not defending her. I'm just saying she wasn't as bad as I expected. That's all. Which is a really, really, really low bar.
See, I never thought that she was that bad going in, and then I played all of story mode, and then I went, yeah, I can't really defend this anymore. So this is just me throwing my cards on the table and kind of consenting that, yes, this is just about as poor as people thought.
I hope that whatever amount of money Vince McMahon gave them bought us a few DLC characters.
That's a way to look at it, and I approve. Next up, Jax.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Jax is cool.
Jax had some of the
know what?
best.
I have issues with some of the things old Jax does, like just standing there watching as Cetrion threatens to kill his daughter.
That was a bit of a questionable
He really
scene,
should have been
sure.
punching her in the back of the head the exact moment it happened.
I was expecting him to turn on her at that very moment.
Yeah,
yes.
The fact that he doesn't really does not make sense for the character, but everything except that moment I totally buy. Like, Jax's life is really super fucked up, and they do an amazing job portraying PTSD in his case, I actually think.
I can justify it to myself, I guess, by going, okay, he's thinking, what happens? We're going to win, we're going to reset it, and she'll have the life I've always wanted her to live. None of this matters. That's the thought process of a very unstable person. But
I just, like, my heart really went out for him in the entire farm scene. Like, that was really well done.
God, just see, like, I was like, going into this, I was like, okay, I've heard that Jax, like, is on a Chronica's side. What the fuck happens aside from, like, not wanting his daughter to be in the military? Oh, God, he was discharged and his wife died. Oh, I understand. And my heart really, really went out to him. Like, we are so far away from, like, the boring, stale Jax that I was expecting coming into this game. Like, he's one of the guys that really stole the show for me. Him and Jackie both. The entire Jackie and Jax chapter and that analysis of their relationship and seeing everything that she meant to him and him not wanting that life for her at all, pushing him to make the choices he did, up to the, I suppose, predictable but inevitable conclusion of him finally changing sides again. But the point is they conveyed it so very well. And, 5 fucking stars. 5 stars. I've got no complaints. Like,
yeah.
People were complaining about how Jackie shouldn't have been in the game, and so was I, and you know what? I get it now.
So, even when Jackie was finally revealed, and I was like, maybe she'll be good this time, and then I saw her moves, and I'm like, yeah, I'm bored with her, I'm not gonna play her. I tried her out during the chapter of story mode, and nobody told me she had a Shoryuken, man. That changes the game.
Instamain?
I can't beat Liu Kang, but
I know.
but I'm at least willing to try now.
So who we not covered? I know we've gone through the kind of the lack of new presence. We haven't covered really
Geras.
Yeah, Geras
not
is
so much a character as a plot device, but a very adequate sub-boss.
Yeah, Geras did his job. They definitely got the whole unstoppable, like a Terminator, crushing heads with his bare hands and walking through groups of people.
Even one of his intros does the fucking, like, skin thing, like from Terminator 2, where he rips off the skin.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's really cool. It's his best win pose. It's also especially funny since his original name was Terminus.
Yeah, that's interesting.
God, I haven't played the game in 2 days. I just want to leave and start again.
There's the scene where he's blown up and the blood acts like the T-1000.
No, going into this, I was pretty sure that they were going to choose one of those fate worse than death endings for him. Because how do you get rid of a guy who literally cannot die? Well, you trap him somewhere. And it's like one of those things where, like, the first time I read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and, like, they launch cars into space stupidly, so he winds up frozen and drifting through space for all time. And I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty fucked up way to live eternity for, and I felt the same way about Geras.
I mean, at least if you're frozen, then you're kind of in suspended animation and you don't feel the eternity.
Although I'm hearing there was some dialogue in some of his verses.
Yeah, so one of the intros, and this is an intro we saw months and months ago, it's between Scorpion and Geras, where Scorpion asked, how did you escape the Sea of Souls, or Sea of Blood? And he's like, a passing Leviathan ate me, and then I killed it and washed up on shore, or whatever, and it's like, that has to have happened after Raiden put the chains around him and dumped him in story mode, so, okay, Geras survived and can come back, and...
Cool.
Not that it matters, because reboot, but on the other hand, Geras is quote-unquote a fixed point of time, so I bet he survives the reboot.
I actually do kind of hope so. Him and
I bet he's immune to the hourglass. I bet he can come back in a future game and remember everything.
I think he should just come back for sick intros. That's all that character is to me. His intros are sick as fuck.
Yeah, that is kind of thing. Like, I'm not super impressed by his moves, but he does have some really cool intro animations.
I wouldn't mind seeing him come back again one of these days. He's definitely above, like, your average Deception Z-lister character tier. I rather enjoyed him.
Like, fuck a Raiden announcer. I want a Geras announcer.
I like him a hell of a lot better than both Kronika and Cetrion.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously Collector is, of the new characters, the big success story. He's the Kotal and Devora tier guy, where it's like, yeah, this guy could fit into any of the games because he worked for Shao Kahn.
We'll get into Collector in a little bit, because I really want to. But first,
although I will say, like,
I kind of want to get Cetrion out of the way.
Okay.
Now, everyone is freaking out, going, how do you fight an Elder God and have it make sense? And I appreciate the fact that they tried to go into that on a couple of different levels, and that, A, all the time fuckery and shenanigans kind of weaken the Elder Gods.
I'm not clear why.
B,
why?
Neither am I, but the benefit of having her being able to fight and having it kind of make sense that, again, there's that built-in limiter that she is weaker than she normally is, and that B, Jax had to put on, like, a plus 20 crown of beat-em-up to be able to fight her. Okay. They allayed my fears.
Yeah, the bit with the crown is fine. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is her character. Her personality is she's kind of an idiot.
Yes, she is.
All of this talk about Kronika's balance being the way things should be, and I have to follow my mother's will, and, like, just not thinking for herself at all. And, you know, Raiden tells us that she's a paragon of virtue, that she's a good person, and that is not at all borne out by her actions.
They really wanted to put the double whammy on us. She's good, but in MK, good isn't always good, if you know what I'm saying.
And like, Kronika's concept of balance doesn't even make sense. It seems like Kronika is it's almost like she's a reference to the other side of the fourth wall, that Mortal Kombat is about people having to fight eternally. So all Kronika wants is there for always to be fighting. Always to be more... Like, you can't have more good guys than bad guys, and you can't have more bad guys than good guys, because then somebody will ever win the fight. And no, the fight has to always happen for eternity, because we can't stop making fighting games. Kronika is a meta-commentary on the fact that it's a fighting game franchise that has 11 games in it.
They did also slip that bit in there. It's like, you're not really fighting because you don't really believe in what she's selling, and...
Yeah, but then she commits suicide to power up her mom. So... I think that they just wanted to put an Elder God in a fighting game for the fuck of it. And even so...
One way or another, I'm glad that they, like, tried to take the precautions to make it kind of understandable.
So Kronika, who is more powerful than an Elder God, who theoretically shouldn't be affected by... The time merger makes the Elder Gods weaker for some reason. She's the one causing the time merger, so she shouldn't be making herself weaker, right? So she also needs a machine, a magic hourglass, to use her fucking powers. And the machine, in order for it to work, needs Jinsei liquid and a crown charged up with human souls. So she's more powerful than the Elder Gods in base form and needs 3 MacGuffins just to use her shit. And yet...
She needs the juice.
So that's base Chronica. Now she has Cetrion's powers on top of that... And she still dies when her body is killed. She's not a purely spiritual being, which we were always told the gods are. That if they die, they just reincarnate. No, she can be killed by physical murder.
The power's not in her. It's in the hourglass. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Say no more. Who fucking cares?
As long as
because it's stupid.
Like Fujin, it's fine.
It is all stupid. If you try to make sense of it, it's gonna break your brain. Story modes...
we're at the point it just makes me sad that we're at the point where we're okay with that. Where, yes, Mortal Kombat is like Bayformers. Like, it wasn't that way back in the day.
Yeah, but our day was a long time ago.
I will give fucking... I don't care how many Chronicas you gotta have if you get some of the kick-ass shit that we had in this game. Like we've talked about already. Like, it's fine. I don't care. You can split Chronica's head 3 ways to
and a plot that makes sense.
You know what I kind of blame for this? I kind of still blame Dragon Ball for this because we're still thinking in terms of power levels, and there's a certain logic behind that. Yes, I get it. But I don't have a problem with a relatively weak entity like Chronica birthing an all-powerful race of elder gods who then give birth to lesser gods. I don't care. And it's really not worth busting my balls or my brain over anymore.
Because remember how cool that Deadpool scene looked?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. It's a collector.
Yeah, collector. So you were complaining before about how Present Aaron and Noob kind of got the shaft.
Collector
doesn't really have any more screen time than Noob does.
He doesn't, but what he has is pretty fucking cool.
I mean, yeah, I really like Collector, and I want him in future games. I'm just kind of bummed that he wasn't used more.
He's more of a character associated more heavily with the game itself
he really did
than
all
he is in
that
story mode.
He did all that he could do because he's not really a fighter. He's a tax collector. This is the reason this guy was not in MK2. This is not a guy you put in a tournament because he's probably going to lose.
He said himself that he wasn't in the tournament because there's no profit.
Yeah, no, there's no profit in getting your ass kicked because you don't know Kung Fu.
But I want him back, guys. I really do. I want him running around in all the Crypts. I want him to be like the mascot character selling his wares. He's Khajiit. Give him the coin.
I still think he'd look even better if he had super long ears poking out of his hood like the spear guy in Infinity War.
Oh, goodness. Jade and Kotalkan. I know a lot of people aren't really buying into like the romance they've always had.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to ask. Does anybody buy Jade and Kotal?
No, I liked it. Not at all.
I actually, yes, it's sudden, it's out of nowhere, but I don't care.
I'm glad that Jade finally had something to do besides being up Katana's ass.
Yeah,
Thank God, she has a little bit of life now.
It feels like just if this were a self-contained thing that didn't have 30 years of history, and I was being introduced to Jade for the first time, I would buy it, because it's well done within the confines of this game. I don't... Like, it just feels like a thread written out of convenience. Like, they needed Kotal to be in these situations, and they wanted Jade to have more to do, and this is what they came up with, and it fits, but on an emotional level, I don't buy it. Because we're being introduced to it to the first time, and this is a character I've...
It's very sudden, but, we've seen, well, again, Jade's one of the characters I have beaten arcade mode with, and you see her training with young Katana at a very young age, which I love and I buy. So, that's, again, we know the Adenians have incredibly long lifespans, so whenever the hell Kotal comes into the picture, there's a lot of time to work with that. And so yes, it's all very sudden, and it's like, why didn't we get?
I mean, it's sudden to us, the audience, though, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, obviously,
totally. Like, if they had plans for this going back as far as MK10, and they dropped a couple lines of dialogue here and there, I'd be like, well, that's neat. But the way it is, it does come across as very sudden. But because I want to know so much more about Jade, because I want Jade herself to be more than Kitana's good friend, I'm okay with it. Because I want Jade to have a life outside of Kitana.
I think
it does nothing but good things for Jade as far as I'm concerned, and that's what counts for me.
So here's what I would like to see if future games are ever going to reference this. In the old timeline, Edenia was freed. Kotal ain't moving to Edenia. So if that happens again in the next timeline, what does Jade pick? That's the only way it's going to be interesting to me. If it actually creates, like, a conflict, and, like, the resolution of that conflict is inherently boring because she's probably going to pick Edenia and dump him. Like, that's the predictable thing, and to do the unpredictable thing, to have her stay, would be out of character. So it's a rock and a hard place situation.
That's why I don't think it'd be that out of character. I don't like that it's fucking out of character for her not to be Kitana's puppy.
It's been
so long that she's done that. I like her doing other stuff.
There is more to Edenia meaning something to Jade than just that's where Kitana lives. That's Jade's home too. And when Jade, in Deception, Jade was not just some princess's bodyguard. She was the general of the army.
Since Kitana's running Outworld now, I don't know why Kotal wouldn't.
I'm talking about in the next timeline if they free Edenia. That's that would be how they would make it interesting for me to see these two characters together. If there was actually like.
I think there's actually some interesting stuff.
If she had to make a hard choice between either going home.
Where did the Oshtek come from?
The Oshtek come from their own realm. It's called Oshtek. Or no, it's called...
Well, hang on. What now?
I thought it had... I'm trying to remember the name now.
Controversy.
I want to know, like, why is Jade staying in Outworld in that scenario out of character? Because I think that's an interesting choice.
Because
I think she would make a cool ambassador for that.
Because she did pick Edenia in the last timeline. Like, you have to imagine, if Kotal exists now, then he existed off-screen. Exception.
Who's typing? It's Django.
Not me. It's definitely not me.
I am seeing the word Django turn white as the typing sound effects occur.
I just think it's a more interesting choice if she chose not to go to Edenia for Kotal's sake.
But that would be... It would be just contradictory to past games.
Well, this isn't a hypothetical MK12, right?
Right, but...
Like, they're probably not even...
You asked how it would be out of character, and a character is made up of what previous games established them to be. And in previous games, where Kotal presumably existed, she chose Edenia. So for her to not choose Edenia the next time it comes around, unless she is given different circumstances, like if her destiny is changed by new information, like if she knew about previous timelines, that would be the only reason for her to make a different choice.
I don't see a dopey situation happening where she has to pick either one or the other. There's plenty of rooms for both.
I guess what I'm saying is, future games have a choice whether or not to have Edenia free from Outworld. And future games have a choice whether or not to depict Kotal Khan and Jade as a couple.
Uh-huh.
And so, which way do they go?
They go to the future.
Okay. Okay, Django.
But there's did we finish talking about all the really cool sick things that are happening in the present?
Okay, so for the record, I looked it up just to make sure. Oshtek is indeed the name of their realm.
Sick.
Because I was confused because, like, for example, the Khitan don't come from a realm called Khitan. Their realm was called Arnyek. Sometimes the species in the realm are two different names.
Is that how Reptile works?
Reptile is from
Zatera.
And they are Zaterans?
And his race is called either the Raptors or the Saurians. and they are originally from Earthrealm.
That's true, they're dinosaurs. That's canon.
Yep.
That's true. Pooty brings up a good point. Scarlet did not have much to do, but I do give her credit for nice try, Liu Kang. You and your silly disguises.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
They got all that paint and makeup washed off really fast in that scene.
That's true.
Scarlet was there to look cool and to kind of act cool, and she didn't.
You know what? That's Scarlet as a character.
Cool.
She's only in this
cool.
game because she's some people's waifu. She's not really important ever.
She's brought up. She's brought up as an example of people who are like dead or long gone, and I'm like, the fuck did Scarlet
apparently
die?
Scarlet died off screen somewhere, like the present version of Scarlet, because that didn't happen in the comics. So when?
No, what the fuck? Kettle saying you got some splaining to do.
So, like, does anybody have a scoreboard of how many times that we've confirmed that the comics are not to be believed?
Are we sure that people...
Well, no,
don't
that doesn't
just
contradict the comic. It's just that she obviously survived the comic, but then did die off screen somewhere else, and it would be nice to know how the fuck that happened.
Stop saying comic. Stop.
Stop saying comic.
Stop.
Stop it. Stop.
It's bannable offensible.
You brought it up.
Shiva's the queen. Where did that happen?
She looked like a Ninja Turtle.
Off screen.
You know what?
Same
Do
place
we
Scarlet
want to talk?
died.
Does anybody have an opinion on Shiva's face that isn't? It's kind of ugly.
She looked like a Ninja Turtle.
I don't like her
When you say
hair.
Ninja
It's
Turtle,
like
do you
off
mean
to
the Michael
side.
Bay
It's
ones
weird.
or the?
She's kind of chunky. But
Whichever
like,
one you think looks the most like Shiva.
Okay,
I would say the
when I
Michael
think
Bay
of
ones then, because they have
Okay,
noses.
When I think of Shiva, I tend to think of like MK3 and the MK3 concept artwork, and this looks closer to like weird Armageddon model Shiva.
So
She
even
does
Armageddon,
look
I
like
thought.
Charles Barkley.
So here's the thing: if I was to list Shiva models by attractiveness, it goes 3, then Armageddon, then 9, then this.
I think 3 is always on top.
I'm trying really hard to like not come across as shallow here, but like when I've always thought of Shiva, what I've always thought of was like kind of a slender build, long
Yeah,
in
she
the
has
face.
kind of like she has a weirdly hot face in MK3. Like she's like a model's face put on a Shokan. Like she's got high, sharp cheekbones, and she has that like black lipstick, and you know
she always
those...
had like kind of a very graceful style about her. Like she was like a ballerina that could really kick your ass, like all those spinning high kicks and stuff in MK3.
Yeah,
and she was like she was built slender.
I would like Shiva to be more agile than Goro and Kintaro and such.
Like I feel that like after 3, after 4, they've kind of clusterfucked all 3 Shokan into one generic mold.
Yeah,
and it's just gonna fuck off.
They are adding diversity to the Tarkatans while they're taking it away from the Shokan.
Like Kintaro should, like maybe he should be the fastest because like of the Tiger race part of it.
I always thought of it as like
between them.
I always thought of it as like Kintaro's the beefiest, like he's the strongest, hardest hitter. Goro's better than him because he's, like, faster and smarter.
Definitely smarter.
But Kintaro is definitely the strong one.
Okay, well, I mean...
Just
sure,
based on comparing their
the
moves in MK1 and MK2, Kintaro was all about, like, hitting you even harder than Goro did and grabbing you out of the air and doing, like, just hard-hitting power moves that Goro didn't have.
And still getting his ass beat. Man...
Well, he was a lot harder to beat in the arcades.
Kintaro,
I would rate as the hardest of all bosses in the arcade era.
Yeah, I'm just saying make the differences in, like, sub-races of Shokans matter.
We already have that distinction, and they keep forgetting it. Like, Goro did not breathe fire until MK4, and he stole it from Kintaro.
Now, logically, he should breathe fire since they're the dragon one.
I mean, not all dragons breathe fire.
Not all dragons exist. Maybe they all do.
Touche!
Yes, sir.
Personally, I'd give Shiva a cheetah leap.
A what?
A cheetah leap.
Oh,
A leap like Cheetah had in Injustice 2.
And I'd give her like a command, like a throw or something like that off it.
you want to retcon her to be another subrace of the Shokans where the spots aren't dragon
What?
but cheetah?
What?
You want to get crazy?
What?
Let's get nuts.
Are you okay, Django?
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Sure.
Let's make her a cheetrar.
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have anything else to say about it. I just wanted to be like, people are talking about Shiva's face. Do we want to comment?
I mean, I don't know.
She is not hot. And whether or not you
it's not
care
about
that's a
whether-
thing is up to you.
It's not about whether she's hot or not. I just think that she's just looked so generic ever since Armageddon. That's it. Actually, MK9 was a bit of an improvement. She looked more like the Shiva I remember there, but
I thought
I think that
Shiva's
she's an
face
unfinished
really
model.
kind of, it's the eyes that bug me, and it's, Goro had the same problem in 9, that they fucking gave them weird fucking yellow eyes with pupils
Oh
in them,
man,
and it's just creepy
MKX
looking.
Goro though.
And I also,
Man.
what bothers me about 9 and this game is they make the horns on her forehead way too long.
They did get beefy.
And it just,
They got
it doesn't
buffed.
look like Shiva is my issue.
I think that if she is a DLC character, like the leak
They
says, to
changed
give
her hair too. I don't like it not a mohawk.
I don't like how
clean
it's
her
like. It's like it's turned 90 degrees to the top. It's fucking weird.
If I hadn't read the comic, I wouldn't know that that's Shiva. That's the problem. Like, I would think, who's this new queen character? Because she doesn't look like Shiva.
Yeah, I think they'll clean her up. I thought her outfit, what she was wearing, looked kind of generic to me. But again,
I was okay
think they'll
with
probably clean that
elements of the
stuff up if
outfit.
she's a
The
playable
outfit is
character.
more or less fine. Like, I don't need her to be more naked. I'm not the guy who's
I
complaining
don't
about
need
the
the
outfits,
to be naked.
alright?
I just need it to be a little more interesting and less like fade into the background NPC type thing.
I just want her to look like the Shiva I remember. I want to see a mohawk and black lipstick.
You want a classic?
Yeah.
I'll give her a classic.
Like, she doesn't need to be in that fucking sling bikini. I just want a mohawk and black lipstick.
Listen, dude, gear, skins.
Oh, I hope.
Yeah, also a facelift, like they did with Tanya in Mortal Kombat X. They'll clean her up when she's
Yeah.
played.
We can hope. She's probably
Yeah.
gonna be Pack 2 DLC.
She's probably going to be.
Maybe
I mean, you don't make a model that detailed and then not use it.
Well, don't say that anymore.
Well, no, so...
That was back in the budget midway days. They can make what the models they want to now. And fuck you, it's not going to be playable.
I mean, Sindel got new sleeves on her MK9 outfit. Rain had a new costume, but that's
Yes,
just
he
because
did.
Ed is the
And
only guy
Fujin
who's not
looked
a Rain fan on the
Just
team.
fine. There was nothing wrong with Fujin.
Shiva could get a new face. Like Tanya got a new face
Yeah.
when she was DLC. So
Yeah, they up for fucking opening night for Showtime. It'll be fine.
I'm sure.
anyway, so how about
I'm sure
how
there
about
will be
Cass-
options. I just hope they're the options I want to see, because while I'm complaining about costumes and gear and not having what I want the game to have, I hate all of Frost's options.
yeah, Frost.
okay? Since we're already here, how do we feel about Cyberfrost now?
I don't like it.
I think it's
gameplay wise, it gets rid of all of the things that I find interesting about a novice cryomancer. Making Frost as powerful or more powerful than Sub completely ruins the idea.
she's
Like,
not
I don't-
like, that's the thing about the Cyber Initiative, is what it produces is not as strong as someone who has magic. The only reason the Cyber Initiative was started was mind control.
She
Cyborgs
is a
are
Chronica
inferior to
enhanced Cyber Initiative.
cryomancers.
To be
Yeah,
fair,
but she's still
Chronica
making
buffed.
drills and shit, and she's making entire stages ice.
Listen, I'm just being fair. I agree. You and I have talked about Frost way too much.
Yeah, they don't know about
Look,
that.
let me.
Well,
Here's a
well,
metaphor.
That's true, but
Here's a metaphor.
she's
So,
woof.
a person with magic
has no upper limit on how strong they can get. They never see power. A person whose power comes from technology has a hard glass ceiling on how strong they can ever be.
Listen, I agree with you. I'm just saying I think that they tried really hard to make sure that they got across. This is not just a Cyberfrost. This is a Chronica Cyberfrost.
Sure, and I mean, that's part of probably their justification for why her blood is still red, and obviously why she still has a human face. But
she blows it up every time.
But what bothers me, so if you were to ever ask me if Frost betrayed the Lin Kuei for another group, who would she join? I would never say the Tekunin. I would say Noob Saibot. That's my issue with it. I don't think she picked the right guys who hate Sub-Zero to team up with.
In that it's not personal enough, I understand.
It's not that. It's I don't think that... Look, if I was in her shoes, if I was a member of a group and I felt like the leader of the group was not giving me my due, like treating me poorly or, not recognizing how my potential and not giving me the privileges that I feel like I have earned. And, obviously she hasn't earned them. She's a shitty person. It's all ego. But if I felt that way...
Which is in character.
If I ever felt that way and I was like, I need a source of more strength so I can fucking show this man, so I can put him in his place...
Dragon Medallion.
I would not give up my dick. I would
not...
She
didn't have one.
And, I'm kind of cool with transhumanisms. I have said before that if I could be immortal, I would trade up for a cyborg body.
You're a weirdo.
I would want to keep certain parts of it.
You want to have your cake and eat it too, huh?
I would not... The Cyber Initiative, really even the Chronica version, is not a body I would want to have. And just in general, this is not the way to get stronger. Like, if your goal is to get stronger and you're already an ice wizard, Sector is not the path to power.
No, but she did go for the quick path to more power.
But this isn't just Cyber Initiative. This is crazy person controlling all of time and
sure. But now she has power. Fucking
yes.
She gave up her body from the neck down.
My read on this is
not the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
It doesn't matter. all of the shit about Sifu Sub-Zero doesn't respect me. I don't like Shira Ryu.
That's another point.
It's all bullshit.
Sure.
Okay? From day one. I want that amulet. I want this. I want that. It doesn't matter. The answer to who Frost would go to is the person that offers her better. And she will do it again and again and again. She is a horrible person. And there is, to me, personally, nothing about pre-Cyberfrost that I would keep. Because she's just Sub-Zero with shiny hair. And there was nothing at all unique about that. And this at least gives her the benefit of a unique skill set, different moves.
I don't like her moves, though.
That's the thing, though.
They're not that unique.
That's fair.
Kind of Cyber Sub.
Were the originals?
She's Cyber Sub. She stole Havoc's torso spin, and she has Aliska Boskanovich's head bomb.
Like she had a slide and a far ground-reaching ground ice.
I'm just saying, I think if you wanted to do something new with her, teaming her with Noob Saibot, if you could find a way to mix ice and shadow, there's more originality potential there than robot shit.
Well, she's got ice drills. That's new.
Augers.
It's something. Augers.
Ice
there you
augers.
go.
I think they look silly.
It's not as new as it could be, but to me, holy shit, is it ever an improvement from what we originally got? As much as I originally liked Frost, she was not an original character.
Hold on.
Well, here's the thing, though.
The only reason
if they did Deadly Alliance Frost, the real way to do it is have her be she shouldn't even be able to freeze people. Like, she shouldn't have an ice ball. Like, she should just use daggers and shit and maybe slow them down like Captain Cold. That's how you do Deadly Alliance Frost right.
The argument isn't that she is better now than she was in Deadly Alliance. If she came back in any capacity, either like normal human Frost or robot Frost, she's going to be better either way because they make better characters now from a gameplay perspective. So yeah, she is more interesting now because they're better now. They have better people to make characters now.
I mean, I don't find her more interesting is the problem. Like, if I was, as a writer, as a creator, if I was sitting there thinking of ways to take Frost to the next level, I wouldn't go, man, I really loved Cyber Sub-Zero. That's the problem. It's just a repeat of shit that...
They wanted to
I'm tired of ice robots in this franchise. That's all it is.
I wouldn't have done it either, to be fair.
That's fine. I get that too. And yeah, I don't dig the fact they really wanted to legitimize it.
But I want the robots to start and end at Sector Cyrex and Smoke. I don't need an ice guy.
Let's slow down on that third. But I get where you're coming from. But my point is just that I see a character who is in line with what I've always understood that character to be. And
I'm not saying it's out of character. I'm just saying it would have been more in character for her to have allied with Noob over Sector.
I think that the biggest thing here too is like they had an opportunity to make her not a clone of Sub-Zero, and they still made her a clone of Sub-Zero by making her Cyber Sub-Zero.
Yeah, there's that. And
that's a way of looking at it, but
when she became a cyborg,
the writers choose what path a character goes down, and they contrive events to justify those choices. And I'm not saying Frost becoming a cyborg is not justified, but I'm saying the way it is justified is contrived to allow Ed Boon to satisfy his desire for a blue robot.
That's fair. That's perfectly fair, but I'd rather it be this blue robot than that other blue robot.
Yeah.
And the way you're looking at it for her taking power from Noob, you might wind up with that shitty dark ice shadow character that people seem to want Bihan to turn into.
Yeah, but if she does it, then Bihan won't.
Yeah, I would much rather see that.
It's not an inherently bad idea. It's a bad idea for Bihan. If Frost had quote unquote black ice, that would be kind of cool.
And listen, if she was to get pissed off and join the Red Dragon or the Black Dragon too, I would actually kind of prefer that to what they did with her here.
I don't know, man. Everyone joins the Black Dragon these days.
I know everyone does.
They are so desperate to make the Black Dragon cool. That's the only reason they put Aaron in there. Because people already liked Aaron, so they're just like, hey, people like this guy and he's a criminal. We can put him with Kano.
Have we missed anyone? We covered Jade. Kodal himself.
I
wish I had more to say about him, but he played his part nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they did a better job with him than the end of X, making him lose his shit for no good reason.
Yeah, he's much more respectable in the comic counterpart.
Speaking of that, there's a funny
competent
moment. There is something that made me laugh. When all the good guys and bad guys show up in Chapter 2 from the past, and Raiden talks to Kodal for the first time, Kodal says, "We were allies until you went dark." That's not how it happened, Kodal. You turned on him first, you dumb son of a bitch.
There's a lot of things in this game that are like that. That's an oversimplification of what happened. You're skirting some details there.
Well, okay. The Reiko Accords. That's canon.
The Reiko Accords. I want that guy.
He's the one who decided, you know what, peace is over, I'm gonna attack Earthrealm. And then he gets there and sees red clouds and he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna attack even harder so Shinnok will like me.
Kodal in this game, though, I think that he's decently neutral. I think they did a good job of actually writing him and succeeding to write him as not good or bad necessarily. He's a good meaning guy. Yes.
Yeah. He's well-intentioned and he makes the right calls.
But he makes mistakes, too.
Yeah.
That's the one upside of pairing him with Jade, is that she exposes that side of him that's like, look, sometimes I'm a tribal idiot and somebody needs to talk me down.
Or just fucking, worn by being the Khan of Outworld, which would make anybody a fucking hardened bullshit. You got fucking Barakas running around being mutants and eating people and shit. Like, after a while, I'd get a little, Connie too.
I am a bit amused. I wonder if he still would have let Kitana have the throne if he hadn't been paralyzed.
Oh, probably not. But he sees himself as like, well, I'm not used to my people when I can't walk. And she makes a lot of good points, and she killed her adoptive father. Yeah, she can do the job.
Which is one really nice thing about Kotal Khan. Like, he doesn't go back on things, or he doesn't hold things when it's convenient for him. He holds himself to things even when it's definitely not. Like being like, Shao Kahn, you're welcome to stay here as long as you want. You're a fugitive. I can welcome you in a home.
He is actually a leader for the people, which I really do appreciate. You can see that in him.
He is.
However,
unless those people are Tarkatans, in which case he's racist as shit.
Yeah.
Well, they have been a dick the entire time until, like, those 5 days.
I mean, Tarkatans are barely people.
Damn.
A seat at the table?
All right. Shao Kahn now, because we'd actually cover Khan himself a little bit.
That's a good call.
I mean, you can't really be too upset about, like, Shao Kahn is treated as, like, no stronger than anybody else, but it's in a game where the fucking Elder Gods are treated as no stronger than anybody else, so it's a symptom, it's not the disease.
He is still treated as a threat to be dealt with.
He is.
And, it is weird to see him, like, all holed up away from everything else and kind of, like, biding his time.
Yeah, like, hiding in a fucking spider nest because they made him run away from his own arena.
He didn't have an army at this point, though.
There, I think he gets what is the bona fide best line of the entire game. You broke time? In that one line, he's trying to understand all the stupidity. It's like a meta commentary on the entire story mode, and I kind of love it.
Yeah.
But, he gets resolution as a character, and he gets that one great scene that I appreciated when he's sitting there and he's talking about how Outworld will be the conquerors again and not the conquered.
I did really like that speech to the arena about how I am going to free you from this oppressor, Kotal.
And the people are buying it.
Look, the people of Outworld are clearly just they're clearly just a Monday Night Raw crowd. They will cheer for whatever is exciting.
They were having the best of time.
I've always maintained that, like, ever since MK2, whenever Kintaro or Shao Kahn knocked you, and the crowd cheered whenever they did, but you didn't, I've always had that sense that Shao Kahn actually had the love of a lot of people behind.
Yeah, he does, like, give a good, like, you can kind of see why people would get behind him when he's saying things like, Outworld will be the conquerors again, never the conquered. Like, obviously, the people of Outworld, like, that's their culture, is they respect strength and they want to be always, like, on top in battle and things like that, and that's kind of what they respect.
If, like, somebody's stepping up who might be able to challenge Shao Kahn, they're hype into that shit, too.
Yeah.
They want to just fucking see that great fight.
It's a very war-driven culture, and a lot of that is because Shao Kahn has been the king for thousands and thousands of years, and that's what he wants.
Yeah.
Let's be real. For the people of Outworld, Kotal versus Shao was as much an event for them as it was for us.
Yeah. That was their WrestleMania.
Facing into different timelines watching that shit. Mm-hmm. I don't even care which time I'm in right now. This is a good show.
It was their WrestleMania, and it was my WrestleMania. Kotal was paralyzed by the torture rack.
That's true, he was.
After a bear hug.
Wouldn't have wanted it to happen. Anyways, Cassie. I don't think we've covered Cassie yet.
Cassie was alright.
I have nothing to say on Cassie.
She had a lot of bullets in those clips.
I respect this game for giving her Chapter 1 and realizing that, like, look, your attempt to replace the old guard with a new generation isn't going to work.
I feel that now with Jackie, like, now that Jackie's better, I think Cassie is my least favorite combat kid now.
I don't know that Jackie is that much better.
I mean, I think that Cassie kind of, like, made her case in the first game, And in this one, she's kind of much more of a supporting character. Like Jackie's more relevant to the plot.
Yeah, that's what I think
was.
the kids work better as supporting characters than as mains, which is generally not what you want when you're trying to create a next generation. But look at Soul Calibur 5. People don't want the next generation. People want their mains.
I want Takeda.
Takeda's
Real
cool.
hard.
Takeda's not the guy who beat Shinnok, though, you know? Like, he was already a supporting character.
I think the only reason that, like, people want to keep seeing a lot of, like, the Street Fighter 3 and the Third Strike cast back is because by some fucking miracle, Third Strike wound up being as much of an event for fighting game players as Street Fighter 2 was for, like, the masses.
Yeah, Third Strike stands out because of its gameplay and because of how much of a change and a breath of fresh air it was. MKX
It stands out because of Sean, and you know it.
Okay.
That's nice, young man.
But MKX was not a breath of fresh air for Mortal Kombat fans. It was just another game.
Yeah.
And that's why that love of the new kids isn't ever really going to be there. And, you know, you can have Cassie and Jackie and Takeda and Jin, just as long as you're not making the entire story mode about them to the expense of Sub-Zero.
I definitely agree. That's one of the biggest reasons why I like Takeda so much is because he comes part and parcel with all this shit for Kenshi and Scorpion and those guys.
But I will say, I thought Cassie was perfectly fine in story mode. I thought, you know, her dealing with her mom's death was well done. I thought, you know, I complained in earlier episodes that I thought they had lost something, that Ashley Birch embodied the character too much and the new voice was too generic, but I'm back. I think she did a perfectly fine job.
Agreed.
Yeah, I like this voice actor better.
I mean,
by the end of chapter 1, I was like, this is fine. This is good. I'm good.
You hear her do scenes with Rhonda, and it's like, man.
Night and day.
Yeah.
One of these people are an actor.
So I guess this brings us to Johnny now.
Johnny was Johnny.
Yeah.
And then he was also Johnny.
There was the other Johnny.
You know what? One of my favorite moments in story mode is after he kicks his own ass and the younger him, like, pouts and goes, "You got lucky."
Yeah.
that
really like
scene, that back and forth. That was special to me.
I
did
really
like that scene
enjoyed,
when they
like,
got captured.
Dad was an asshole. Hollywood made us even bigger assholes. Like,
yeah.
He's
like telling someone to you have to kick my ass or whatever. I like that scene.
Stop being a diva and hit me.
I really like that. I think that Andrew Bowen does a great young Johnny. Like, I don't really like him in X because the dad shit was overplayed, was kind of boring.
Well, that's really more of an intros and, like, poses and quotes thing. That's, you know, and they do that with with Cassie and her smartphone too. Like, they just make being a millennial her characcher. And it's kind of a stereotype, and it does diminish him. Dad jokes did that to Johnny. But
just so everybody knows, I just killed one of these guys in the crypt. This ghosts.
Oh, you hit the ghost?
100 hearts and a Sub-Zero skin.
There you go.
Good shit.
Just throw the mask on and immediately mash the hammer, and you'll be done.
Excellent.
You have to just, whenever you're putting the blindfold on, expect a ghost to be there and be already swinging.
Get that tech.
All right, but all complaints aside, I wish that Johnny hadn't just kind of disappeared from the plot, but, you know, he was crippled, didn't have much to do.
Yeah, old Johnny was shot in the leg and young Johnny was shot in the arm. There's no reason they're coming to the fight on the boats.
I did wish for, like, kind of like a near ending scene where, like, you just saw them hanging out. That would have been nice. That's my only complaint.
I mean, the problem with doing an epilogue at all is, hey, Lou and Katana are at the beginning of time controlling the hourglass. Where the fuck is... Everybody else doesn't exist yet.
Something close to that, that's all I'm saying. But as a standalone moment, I really kind of loved young Johnny versus old Johnny the most because it was just this commentary on the evolution and the nature of the character from, like, being a jackass to looking back and maybe flanderizing that jackass a little bit more in his younger stages to the benefit of the character. He's had a long and weird winding road, and it's been fun to see him grow. And I'm actually going to be sad to see old Johnny not be present when we inevitably reboot, because I've become attached to old Johnny as well.
Well, I think one of the things this game demonstrates is that they're so good at showing Johnny mature, they can do it over and over again. Because young Johnny does in the Fight Club.
I hope so.
I don't know if Johnny ever really matured in the old timeline, though.
I would argue
he did. Once Armageddon came around, he did.
But he regressed when he came back from the dead.
For MK4, he literally gives up his space in heaven to come back and help.
Yeah, but
the fight.
And then at the end of that is him being a dick at an Oscar Awards.
Yeah, he starts making movies again, but then in Armageddon he becomes the leader figure.
Yeah,
so
he's very back and forth in the old timeline. Like, Deadly
he
Alliance is about him, like, basically living through a midlife crisis. He's like, I didn't die, that never happened, I always win. While he's dyeing his hair blonde and getting a lion tattooed on his back.
The point is, he eventually gets there. So, I think that might be almost everybody except for Kano himself.
Boom.
So, the best actor goes to Kano, and the best supporting actor goes to Kano. And, like, the person in the entire fucking roster that Kano has the most chemistry with is himself. Like, everyone's got their issues with their past self or their future self. Kano, nope, it's fine. Nope.
Kano's the only guy who behaves the way I would behave if I met a second me.
It's like, yeah, I remember that guy. That's who I'm going to be? Cool. Let's watch the fucking game and have a bud. Just fucking Christ. Both of them laughing about spewing off lies to Cabal.
I love when they're watching Sonya and Johnny fight each other, and the one starts slapping the other like, check it out, this is great.
It is funny that old Kano has more hair than young Kano, everywhere.
I honestly think that he looks a little more scummy without the hair. It's something about the face.
Because they tried to make him look like Rich DeVizio.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm never going to say no. I'm never going to say no to that.
It is what I've wanted. You know, I'm tired of Kano not looking like Kano.
You can do that with some of those guys. You can't do it with everyone. You can't do that with Johnny.
Over 50 and still a ripper.
That's a good one.
He doesn't sound like Shrek still, though.
Otherwise, who can you trust?
See, like, it's... People say they're tired of him. People say they don't want him back. But this is the reason.
Yeah, every time he comes back, he's fun. It's just that the Black Dragons suck. It's not that Kano sucks.
He's never not gonna be fun.
If you use him right, like I wish there was more of like how in Deadly Alliance we got the story of how he became a general in Shao Kahn's army. And he's just, you know, he moved up in the world and he's not just selling guns. But,
so I think that's...
you know, there is one other thing that I want to say was really great about Kano in story mode, and it's that there are two separate occasions where he uses his eye to actually, like, see in other spectrums or, like, scan things or not just shoot lasers. Because when he was introduced in MK1, the very first thing we were told about that eye was that it sees in infrared. It didn't even shoot lasers until 3.
Yeah, he was checking out sectors, undergarments, and shit. It was tight.
And then he sees X-ray through that truck so he can shoot Cassie. Which, by the way, if you get hit with a minigun, you're not just getting wounded, the arm is coming off. That was bullshit.
That arm would be gone.
That was a magic van, is all I'm going to say. It should have been perforated, but I'll let it slide.
She's got a magic
she should have
arm,
been a
apparently.
mist. She should have disappeared into a red mist.
You have to turn a blind eye to shit. Like, past Kano dying, and yes, okay, fine.
Oh yeah, and speaking of Kano, in the dining room in the crypt, there is a Kano skeleton sitting at the table, holding a leg of meat.
Excellent. But like, the second I saw past Kano get shot in the eye, and then current Kano gets shot in the eye, and then nothing else about time or space changes. I'm like, you know what? It's not worth thinking about.
Yeah, no, the time travel in this game does not hold up.
This game and the grandfather paradox are not friends. Just ignore it. It doesn't even bear discussing. Past Kano being killed only kills current Kano, and nothing that current Kano did. Just
there is no actual butterfly effect. It's fucking...
It just looks cool, and that's all you need to know.
Like, the absolute moment you bring Johnny and Sonya to the present, it changes the circumstances of when they had sex, and suddenly Cassie should be a brunette, or taller, or a guy, you know?
A ginger. Crikey. Alright. Have we missed anyone?
I don't think so. If we have, they apparently weren't worth talking about.
That's a thing, isn't it? Cabal's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but
that's
Cabal...
about
it. I hate Cabal in this game.
I like Cabal in this game. This is like... I kind of see him as an idiot, I guess. Or at least the Black Dragon version of it. Like, I've accepted that we're never going to see Vigilante Cabal. So seeing the Cabal that existed before that, this is not inconsistent with how I imagined him.
Yeah, Judge is saying right now in the chat that they ruined Cabal.
Well, Judge is a huge fan of Stryker and Cabal as cop partners.
Yeah.
And I always despised that. It is one of my least favorite retcons in 9.
I can get on board with that.
Because I think it's really important to Cabal's character that he had been a bad guy during 3 when he was scarred, and that getting scarred was the cause of him changing. I think you need that. And without that, that character just fell completely flat for me.
In this game, I see the Cabal that was before the Cabal that would go on to become a vigilante, and then get character assassinated by turning him into a bad guy again. Although, I'll hand-wave it by having Havoc as responsible for influencing in that regard.
Yeah, there was obviously some kind of mind control or convincing of, Havoc is a tricky person.
The point is, we didn't get current, wizened, good Cabal because that doesn't exist in this timeline.
Yeah, no, this is Cabal before MK3. He hasn't been burned yet, so you're going to get a different character out of him.
So I can buy this. Young Cabal's an idiot, and his name is Carlos.
No, his name's not Carlos.
No, his name's not Carlos.
There is a Johnny Cage intro where Johnny asks if Cabal is his real name, or he says, "What kind of name is Cabal?" And Cabal goes, "Well, what would you suggest?" And he says, "From now on, your name is Carlos."
It's canon.
And that's where that joke comes from.
The Cage says it, the Cage did it. It's Carlos Cabal. Because it's stupid. Alright. I think that covers it.
I think it do. Oh, one more thing that's very important. If you put the blindfold on and kill a ghost again, it only gives you...
Yeah, it only works the first time.
Wow, fuck you. Okay.
So just one time. But that's 100 hearts. That's still good.
Alright. So we've been playing for about 3 hours now. I think that maybe next time we'll come back and we'll talk more about the arcade endings. I know that not all of
to anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, the ghosts, in the Crypt, when you put on Kenshi's blindfold, sometimes a jump scare attacks you. You can hit it with the hammer if you're fast enough.
Yes, you can hit it
when you put on the blindfold, just start mashing that hammer button.
That's right.
You might be okay.
Next time... we should probably also discuss the gameplay a little bit more too.
Yeah,
I feel like
I wish we had Temp on because it would be nice to have somebody who really has deep thoughts about that.
He's online. He's been online for 3 hours.
I've got a lot of opinions about the gameplay of this game.
Yeah, that's right. The blindfold also takes away your soul currency.
What?
Just a little bit. You didn't know?
I didn't know that.
It drains it. It drains it at a very slow rate, but it does.
Fuck.
That's why I've been very hesitant about keeping it on for more than a second.
Yep, fuck you.
I mean, a second is all you need to know whether the ghost is there or not.
Well, you also needed to search for, hidden chests.
There are very few of those.
It's stupid.
I know about pulling the chains in the courtyard area near the sacrifice area.
Yeah, those are the only invisible chains I think I've found.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, even people who don't want to, like, read guides and they want to figure out everything for themselves, just for the blindfolds, just use a guide.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're running around the entire thing, spending all your souls just to keep the blindfold on, and there's nothing to see in most of the rooms.
And it's so much nicer without the blindfold on.
Yeah,
it, really
it makes you run slower, and you can barely see in front of you, like the sonar is
detective mode in this thing. Come on.
By the way, you can run by holding R2.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people
A lot of people out there don't know that. I didn't know that for like the first fucking day, because it's not in there.
Yeah, hold R2 and you can run in the crypt.
It'll help you with those fire traps. Yeah. All right.
Listen, there's a lot of very interesting and varied things that people could talk about the gameplay. I'm sure me and Tip will go into it very soon because we're doing a shrine very soon. But
yeah,
we can talk about that more next time. There are some interesting things that I'm looking forward to talking about after having played this for a decent amount of time now.
Right.
I want to actually contribute and say more, but I'm intermediate gameplay level at best. If you guys would give more thorough coverage on the gameplay front than we can here. Without
I haven't even gone online yet. I've been only playing the AI.
I mean, like we covered like the very beginning lab we did, that tutorial helped out a lot, and it will help everyone, I think, see more, and I think it'll help people understand more. This game, I think, is really interesting in its simplicity in a lot of ways, which I think everyone can appreciate when they play it. But yeah, we can talk about that more later. I think there's something to talk about for everybody.
That's more that I wanted to get across, is that like on a competitive level. Yeah, on a competitive level, though, I also do feel at the same time, with all the execution and all the options for escaping and running away and tech, I do feel like the divide between casual and competitive in this game is going to be gigantic.
It might end up being that way. I'm interested to seeing if that happens. It's kind of a wait and see.
I mean, one of the big differences is going to be like everybody who's only playing ranked or is like training for stuff. They're only going to use preset variations. I have not once played a character that I haven't changed their moves first.
Oh, okay.
And I intend to do that. Like if you want to play me online, we're going to do custom.
All right, that's the last thing I want to bring up just for fun before we cut off for the night.
Yep.
What did you guys name your variations?
Ooh.
I've got some. So I have classic MK1 Raiden is named Have a Nice Day.
Nice.
I've got a classic Scorpion that's called Bent on Revenge.
A man of culture, I see.
Mm-hmm. I named my zombie Liu Kang Super Unlockable.
The classic.
I
will be.
I'm not actually going to use it, but just for fun, I named one of the katana variations Kang Bang Queen.
Classy.
I was, you know.
I will be changing one of my sub variations to Sub-Way.
God damn it! Why is everybody taking my shit? I said that the other day on here, and like, who was it? It was Bradley on the Discord. Was like, I'm taking that. I'm like, God damn it! Yes, I have a Subway Sub-Zero.
All right.
I tried to make my Sub-Zero look like the Mythologies one, and then I named the variation Mythological.
Nice.
Okay, we're close.
My go-to Sub-Zero is always the Ice Geist, because I like him in white, like the Power Ranger one in the Revenant one in MKX, the alternate color.
Huh?
And I made him in this one. The Ice Geist is back.
Oh, I have two Shao Kahns. I named one Feel the Wrath and the other Feel the Power. And my Kung Lao is named Gonna Lick It.
You bastard! You bastard! My Shao Kahn is also called Feel the Power. Great minds. My noob Cybot is called Mythologies. My Cabal is called Dead Rhino? Question.
I like that one. It's good.
My Jade is called Low Kicks Only. My Aaron Black is either, I'm forgetting right now, it's either Damn It Marston or Have Some Faith John or Have Some Faith Arthur or something like that. It's just a Red Dead reference. My Jack
have a plan.
My Jack says, "Yeah, now what?"
Nice.
Who the fuck else? And my Kung Lao is called Marquez. That's a bit of a deep cut.
Nice. I went with gonna lick it for my Kung Lao.
There is a Sub-Zero color skin in here that is like, this looks like the most fucking Rain outfit that would have ever been a Rain outfit.
It's purple with gold trim, yeah.
And it turns his fucking ice into gold, and like everything looks sick. And I called that one Rain sucks as fuck.
Damn.
I'm sorry.
I would be surprised if all of your variations didn't end randomly with the letters AF.
There might be one or two.
Okay.
That's kind of your thing.
He does have PP ice. You're right. It turns yellow. Good eye, $500 sunglasses.
Piss Sub-Zero.
It's obviously
GGs.
they wanted a lot of people to name their variations Yellow Snow.
I gotta do that.
Never.
Is that everything?
I only ever meant it as a joke. All right. I think that's it for the night. We good?
Yeah, I think we've covered everything, at least for now.
Cassette Bat says wait. Cassette Bat has one question.
What are we
on
waiting?
Discord.
Okay.
He wants to make a Lego Ice Planet Sub-Zero. Okay.
Turn in
Orange transparent. Next week, guys.
Yeah, tune in next time.
Next time.
We will see you. We will discuss some of those tasty arcade endings.
And maybe we'll answer some questions, but I doubt we'll have time because we'll be so busy talking about the game.
We should probably talk about costumes some next time, too.
We should do that.
like
There's a
them.
lot of game left to cover and only so many hours in the night.
It's true. Save something for next time.
All right, good night, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Goodbye.
Later, nerds.
You're still trying to win?